You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
What is up here on a Wednesday? What the heck is it? Wednesday. Today's Wednesday.
Hump day.
Hump day. Shock your mock day 2025.
Yeah.
Ready to go?
Absolutely not, because I have no idea who the draft picks are. But hey, we're just going to freestyle it. We're just going to 8 Mile it. You know me, I like to be prepared, man. I like to do my research. I like to write some quips and everything. But it's all good, man.
Well, I can give you 15 minutes or so if you need it. Just let me know. 11 o'clock. You got till 11
I'm
o'clock.
going to need 2 hours, but we're all good, though, man. No worries. We'll just
Should we wait till tomorrow?
No, let's just freestyle today, man. Let's see what we can do.
Okay.
Off the cuff.
You do have them in your text.
No, I saw that
Check
at 9 o'clock. But, you know, I still have to work out and stuff, too. So I didn't seem till I drove here. But we're all good.
All right. I don't know.
I'm excited about the song, though. The song
is good.
Yeah. Spent about an hour and a half on the song with Little Man. He helped me out a little bit.
A little Ronan touch.
There's going to be a little Ronan touch in there.
You got a little Oregon Duck like noise in there or something?
No. He was just more like my audience. And once we play it, I'll kind of explain more what I was thinking here in the thought process. But I don't want to go out of my way or anything, but I think it might be the best Shock Your Mock theme song yet.
Oh, no. You're going to set us up like that.
No, I'm very confident that, yes.
You're very confident it's the best one. Well, we did it. We're playing with AI.
Which couldn't have set the bar any lower. And like, listen, I guess AI was a big hit. Hamby loved it. I'm going to be honest. I hated the song. The one that we chose, I couldn't stand the song. But we'll play it one more time, maybe bury it and never have to open it up back again. But I think I delivered this year.
All right. I like it. I can't wait to see it. Shock Your Mock at 11 o'clock. If for nothing else, the song.
Exactly.
And by the way, we've got a whole new setup. We're not even sure. We'll see. We'll see how it works. We're just trying to make it, as we always do. We got a lot kind of on the table that even I'm a little curious about on the show today. You brought up an interesting topic about Evan Engram, and so we'll get to that in a bit. We got some NFL stuff happening. We have Tom Izzo. If you missed this, I would call it a rant. It was one of the great things because, like, well, I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to do it. And then 5 minutes later, he's talked about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But he has some great moments.
It was weighing on his mind.
In it.
Sure.
I mean, it was really good. Duval Daily coming up as well. Think about what else we can take from Tampa. We're going to get Casey Kurtz's help there. He's over there all the time. He's from the area. But we're taking something from Tampa almost daily on the show. We like that as well. Real quick, well, we got to acknowledge kind of the big story over the last, 12 hours. Holy cow, Alex Lodise. I don't know if you saw that baseball game. Florida and Florida State played in Jacksonville. And they had a ton of local players on those teams. Walk-off grand slam to win it for Lodise to complete the cycle to beat Florida in the hometown. And by the way, the folks who sit there and tell me he's from St. Augustine and it's not his hometown, please shut up. Like, it's his hometown.
Well, yeah. Well, where's he? Is he from? He grew up in
Yeah, he went to Bartram.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you're playing in
yeah. You're playing in Jacksonville. That's your home. Yeah.
My goodness.
That's where you go to high school. Yeah.
It's like people who say, well, he's from Yulee, Derrick Henry is. He's not from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
He's from Jacksonville.
Got to claim Derrick Henry as well.
But anyway, Casey, did you get Alex Lodice's autograph yet? You might want one coming off that game.
Nice. Yeah.
Good. Oh, you got it.
Zero stock in him?
Guy's hitting 491. I mean, he might be the player of the year in college baseball at this moment.
Casey, do you already have the autographs, or are you thinking you're going to wait and see a little more?
Yeah, I'm good.
Wow. Okay. All right. There you go. I can't wait to get the autograph update, by the way, from Casey. They're all over the map.
Absolutely.
But anyway, really cool moment for him. And so I thought about what I was interested to see if you have a moment. You have to answer it right now. So think about this.
I can answer it right now. What you got for me?
In your career.
Yep.
That's the game.
Any game?
Yeah, any level.
Any sport?
Any level.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you already told me about the baseball one, right? That was the walk-off one. So you had that moment.
Yes.
Because I got to be honest with you, I played ball and a lot of different things for a while. I don't remember a game.
Sure.
I guess I'd be more like you can remember a moment. You kind of remember the ones that don't go well, to be honest with you, more than anything else. But I don't remember. My buddy had a 5-for-5 game against Portsmouth High School in Rhode Island. I remember that game that he had.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but I don't really remember. I remember, oh man, I went 4 for 4 that day. Or,
Sure.
I hit 3. I don't really remember stuff like that. Which maybe I never did it. Like, you could do that. You could be a consistent player or whatever and have some moments, but not necessarily have the game. Like, Lodise has had like a bunch of games this year. It's like 4 for 5. He did well in Omaha last year as well, but he just had the game, like, of his life. He went 4 for 5 here against the Gators, walk them off with a home run to complete the cycle. I mean, somebody told me on Twitter, I forget who it was, they said the only way that could, Marty Smith from College of Central Florida, said the only way that could have been better is if they were down 3 runs and that was the winning run. Like, probably the only way that could have been better.
Yeah. If you're asking like my other moments, I mean, I had a bunch of them for you, man. I can go every sport. So hockey was when I put a kid on a stretcher when I was a peewee, and I checked him into the boards and like broke his collarbone and stuff and put him on the stretcher. It was a competitive game, obviously. And then my mom had to go up to the kid's parents and apologize. And my stepdad was just like, pounding brewskis and celebrating. So that sticks out to me as a moment in my hockey career. In baseball, I've told the story before, hitting the walk-off home run to go to the finals in the Wisconsin championships. So that sticks out for baseball. For basketball was my senior year when we played Tigerton, and I got 5 dunks in one game. And that was, that's whatever. But like the reason why it was a big deal to our school was because the student section, like our fan section, they put up an Austin Lane dunk meter in our gym. So every time I got a dunk, they would color in the dunk meter. Well, our principal, I'm not going to say anything, but our principal didn't like that because she thought that it singled me out and didn't include everybody else. So then we had a really cool teacher named Mrs. Hittner. Shout out to Shannon Hittner, one of my favorite teachers I ever had in high school. She stole the dunk meter and she's like, well, if you can't put it in the gym, we're going to put it in my classroom. So then when I got back from the game, like the next morning when I was in her class, I got to color in the dunk meter for 5 spots. So that was really cool. And then for football, like it's either probably sacking Drew Brees and letting him swear at me, or it was in high school I had 5 catches, 205 yards, and 3 touchdowns in Port Edwards.
You had some choices.
Oh, yeah,
Not
man.
the Senior Bowl.
Nah. It's all right.
That's a scoop and score, wasn't it?
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't feel good about the scoop and score because I didn't know the rules. So, literally, and it's funny, looking back on it now, D'Anthony Smith, who was also a Jacksonville Jaguar from Louisiana Tech, literally picked me up and, pushed me in the end zone. So it had nothing to do with me because, even during the broadcast, the bouncer's like, wow, that's some great football prowess from Austin Lane to know to get in the end zone. I'm like, nope, I had zero idea. I picked the ball up, I ran to the sidelines, and D'Anthony kind of pushed me in the end zone. So that was more on D'Anthony. That should have been D'Anthony Smith's touchdown more than it was my touchdown, but I'll take it, I guess.
Well, that's why we have Austin on the show, so he can celebrate his accomplishments in every sport that he just did.
That's what
Casey,
it's all about,
a little bit
man.
different than you and I probably, but we never had a dunkometer.
Oh, man, the dunkometer was great.
We should create one here for you.
Casey, you're a taller dude.
Yep.
Are we talking about prime, peak, athletic performance?
No.
Casey, okay. Not even close?
He's a pitcher. You never had a
not even close
strikeout game, not a strikeout guy?
Well, no, I'm saying...
He's asking me if I can dunk.
Ask me if you can dunk it.
Okay.
Casey, did you ever come close, though? Backboard, rim?
I just couldn't bring the ball up.
Isn't that that's the hardest part, man?
Get up there, I couldn't bring the ball up.
Wasn't it? Because, I had this problem in 8th grade, but I get what you're saying, dude. But no, it's a frustrating thing because you have the hops, but then you need the hand size to try to put the ball over.
Which is why I knew I would never dunk unless you give me a Nerf ball.
Like volleyball, I could.
Okay.
Like a volleyball. There you go.
Yeah.
That is that's a real thing. You can dunk the smaller ball, but not the basketball if you don't have the big enough hands.
Absolutely.
Why is it so much harder with 2 hands?
To dunk it? That's a good point, too. It depends, man. Are you a 1-foot dunker or a 2-foot dunker?
Yeah, I'm a non-dunker.
Or a non-dunker. A non-dunker.
Hey, does Stefon Diggs have the best agent in the NFL?
Well, yeah. In retrospect, now he does. In Houston, it was questionable. Going for that 1-year deal.
Yeah, it was a 1-year deal, but he got $25 million guaranteed, right?
Yeah, but he had a 3-year guaranteed when he got to Houston. Yeah. And he chose to...
Kind of bet on himself.
Done before? Think about that.
That's a good question. Because they traded for him, so they got to assume the contract, and then they kind of ripped it up, right? Made it a 1-year deal that I think it was worth $25 million.
And it's not to say he wasn't making good money on that 3-year deal. So he goes to Houston, 3-year deal. Houston goes, yeah, we got to see more. And then he opts to just restructure it and go for a 1-year deal. I can't remember I mean, I'm sure it's been done before, but it's rare, I feel like.
Especially at his age. I mean,
Especially at his age.
He's not like 27. You could see a 27-year-old guy betting on himself or something like that.
We need to look into Houston, seeing if they're using any kind of like hypnotizing tactics. Because like the Diggs thing never made sense to me. The Christian Kirk thing doesn't make sense to me. Why he would restructure a new deal.
Oh, and on the other side of it, when they got what's his name to the Cardinals.
Tunzel? Or no?
To the Cardinals receiver.
Oh, DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, that never made sense.
Well, no, but that was
nothing.
That was a different whole regime altogether, though. Yeah, they
that was
had
the other
some
side.
issues. So, but I mean, Diggs is doing obviously pretty well for himself. Yes.
I mean, was that an eye-popping contract to the New England Patriots coming off an ACL at his age?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely risk reward there, right? But at the same time, I think if you look at Stefon Diggs' stats when he's healthy, and I get as a wide receiver, when it falls off, it can fall off drastically. But there's nothing to lead you right now, and I get the injury is going to be serious, and we'll see how he responds to it. But before that injury, he had the numbers to back it up. Like, look at the stats every single year.
Yeah, he's got no doubt. I mean, listen, he's been a heck of a player, but coming off an injury at an older age is not usually a recipe for success. And they could easily go get somebody or figure out what they want to do in the draft. They've got draft picks. They could have made a move at a guy like like a Deebo Samuel or something like that Washington did.
Sure.
It's just an interest. I mean, obviously he's out there. It doesn't seem like there was a lot of competition for this kind of contract. And the Patriots have a ton of money. So it's like one of those deals where, if the Jags did this, which is like what they did with Christian Kirk when they gave him the kind of money. It's like, well, they have the money, first of all, to spend. And so you can kind of reset the market. They got a lot of criticism for that. It's funny how, like, the Patriots, well, I don't know if they're getting criticism. It is a little eye-popping, so maybe there is some criticism. But they've got the money at this. They're not going to be cash-strapped. So if they give him a little bit more than he's worth at this point, maybe it doesn't matter much.
Yeah, and at the same time, too, like, keep in mind, Chris Godwin I think he's like 2 years younger than Stefon Diggs, but he's been playing, he's going into his 9th year, Chris Godwin is. He's coming off of a drastic knee injury as well.
Yeah.
And he just got paid. So I think it's kind of the trend now in the NFL where even if you got a serious knee injury, like, teams are going to risk it for the biscuit, right? Because it's that important of a position. And I think with Stefon Diggs, if you look at what the Patriots are trying to do, you assume that you have your quarterback now in Drake May. Showed some great things his rookie year. You need to give him weapons now. So, okay, go ahead and get a veteran wide receiver like Stefon Diggs who can kind of do a little bit of everything. You saw what Stefon Diggs in his prime did for Josh Allen when he was a young quarterback, right? Put Josh Allen on the map, I think. So maybe you get Stefon Diggs and what happens in the draft. Maybe get Travis Hunter. Now, all of a sudden, if you talk about a healthy Stefon Diggs and a healthy Travis Hunter, that could be a pretty damn good combination to have as a young quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. It's a gamble. It's certainly a gamble. It's the other thing about it is, like, we just looked at Cooper Kupp getting $15 million. We were like, whoa, right? And what we said coming off the Cooper Kupp one, and with a deal like this for Diggs or a Calvin Ridley last year, these kind of deals, and maybe it is even, although it does look like the Bucs won that Godwin thing pretty well because he could have got more money.
Correct.
But I think our eyes have to get used to these dollars for the receiver. Like $22-23 million is not like insane money anymore for a receiver. 3 years ago, it was like top of the market. And now it's just not. And so that's like, I think we have to get used to these numbers from when we first see it. There's a little bit of sticker shock to some of these. But yeah, we're seeing, with what's a little surprising to me is we're seeing all these risk deals. Kupp, and I don't know if it's long-term risk. It's just at least looks risky at the top of it at $15 million for a guy like Kupp coming off what he's come up with injury-wise at his age. Then you get even like a Calvin Ridley deal last year. It's like, really? That much? And then you get Diggs this year right here. That just kind of jumps out at you. And the reason why I think it's kind of wild is because we feel like the depth in the draft is deeper than ever before at this position. Like, you can go find a guy in the 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round. And all you got to do is really, now listen, the Jags did it at pick number 23, but look what the Jags did. I mean, the Jags were able to find a guy, and you won that like 10 times over, rather than, and you kind of fell into it in some parts because you wanted Ridley to come back. You didn't get him to come back. You end up taking Brian Thomas Jr. But that's what you can do. And you can do that all the way up until the 5th round and find your Puka Nakuas, by the way, too. So I think that's where it's a little stunning. Quarterbacks, you're not going to do that with.
Yeah.
Right? Defensive ends, probably not going to do that with very much. Receiver is a position right now, kind of like the running back spot, which is why that running back spot in many respects has lost value over the years, is you can get somebody in the middle rounds that can really become a star at that position. Hard to do at a lot of positions, not as difficult to do at receiver or running back. So you could take some of that draft capital instead of taking a chance on a guy like Diggs. But I'll just go back to what I said. How much of a chance is it? I mean, the money being thrown around in the NFL these days is just crazy. Mm-hmm. So maybe the risk reward is there to hope that Diggs comes back and plays the way he does. By the way, plus you're not talking about the guy that always is like rah-rah team guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That there's always that element. That was the element we were talking about with Houston when he went there.
Yeah, well, once again, and I think sometimes that gets a little blown out of proportion. Like, I don't think he was an issue in Houston, and he wasn't getting the ball probably like he wanted when you got guys like Nico Collins at the time, Tank Dell. So I don't think there's really any issues in Houston when he might have been the 1B or sometimes the 2 receiver, and then obviously he gets hurt. But I just think going forward now, like, this is going to be the trend in the NFL, with teams willing to risk it a little bit in terms of a player coming off an injury. You know, I mean, we saw it a long time ago with Adrian Peterson. He came back right away. You saw it with Rob Gronkowski. We've seen it with Tom Brady, even though that's the quarterback position. But, like, Brady came back successfully right away. J.J. Watt had a really bad knee injury, and he comes back and still terrorizes the league. Saquon Barkley is another guy who obviously has had his laundry list of injuries from New York, goes to Philly, and probably without Saquon Barkley, they don't win a Super Bowl. So I just think now with modern science, the way people are, you know, rebounding, especially after like ACL tears and MCLs and meniscuses and all that stuff, I think teams are willing to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah, that's good. We'll see how it works out for the Patriots. The Patriots are an interesting build because they've got the quarterback. They really feel like they started there. They don't have a lot of other things. They spent, obviously, in free agency. They're spending more here. And then what else can they do? How quick can they get that going? They think they got the coach and the quarterback. And I think there's a lot of respect for that, Vrabel and obviously Drake May. So,
and I'm sure Vrabel's like, I actually have a quarterback now?
Yeah.
What do I do now? Like,
no doubt.
Excuse me? I have a quarterback that's competent? Okay, let's see what we can do.
Well, and keep in mind, part of the downfall of the Titans was because they got rid of A.J. Brown. Like, that's where this started to splinter, according to most people in the NFL, between ownership, GM, and Vrabel when they traded A.J. Brown away. Well, he's going to say, I want that stud guy, right?
Well, yeah, but also, like, I feel like Vrabel never had a quarterback. Like, Tannehill wasn't the guy. Obviously, Will Levis, and I think
Mariota,
for what Vrabel was able to do with, because obviously it's the quarterback position, man. Like, if you don't have a quarterback, I don't think you really have a team. So what he was able to do with the teams that he had, and yes, Derrick Henry was a big part of that, but I think, and this is why I wanted Vrabel here in Jacksonville, was look at what he did with less, you know, and he went on a couple playoff runs. Like, he won some divisions. I think that should be celebrated. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm a Patriots fan, it could take a couple years to turn around, but I like having Vrabel there. I like having Drake May there. Be interesting.
Yeah, here's one other thing I find interesting about the Patriots and Diggs. He instantly becomes like one of the best resumes the Patriots have added receiver-wise outside of Randy Moss, right? They never really had like this stud receivers. They developed them, or they made, like Brady helped make them, but that wasn't their philosophy, right? It was a little bit more Aaron Rodgers-like, not to that degree, where it's like, okay, well, our offense, Tom Brady, we're going to make the receiver better. I mean, I remember when I was covering, it was Troy Brown, it was David Patton, it was guys like that, all the way up until then you produced the Edmonds and Wes Welkers, and those guys obviously very good, but how good were they on their own? How good would they have been in Jacksonville versus they were in the Patriots because of Tom Brady is always the kind of the question that gets asked.
Yeah, it always seemed like the Patriots had a habit of signing like the 2 receivers from different teams, you know, and never really getting like that bona fide guy. Like, I remember when Smith-Schuster went there, like it was, and I know it's because of fantasy football, I'm like, okay, well, this might be the guy that kind of puts that offense over the top now and everything, because I think Smith-Schuster, when he went to the Patriots, might have been coming from Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been Pittsburgh, whatever the case may be, but like he was still kind of a bigger name. So I was thinking, like, okay, like he goes to New England, he might find his footing there, and obviously he's an afterthought. He's a trivia question in terms with his times with the Patriots.
All right, a couple other things around the NFL, including Russell Wilson to the Giants. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. Are they out on quarterback in the top 5?
I don't think so. I think you still have to at least consider it. But, well, let me ask you this. Would you rather have Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers? Casey, feel free to play along as well.
Aaron Rodgers.
Casey?
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning towards, too. I'm a little surprised that, especially with Jameis, like who's going to start over Jameis and Russell? Are we talking like a legitimate quarterback competition, or is Russell going in there knowing he's going to be the starter? Because if I'm Russell Wilson, and there's still some teams available to go to, why would I go to the Giants if I'm going to compete with Jameis Winston? So that leads me to believe that Russell Wilson's going to be the starting quarterback. That's what he was told to lead the Giants. And if that's the case, best of luck to you.
Yeah, they really invested. If this is the case, this is the way they land. They invested, obviously, I mean, not crazy money, but by the quarterback standard position in Wilson and now Winston. And so in that spot from a quarterback, main quarterback to a backup quarterback. So they recycled the room, if you will. But I wonder if that closes the door on a guy like Sanders, or do you kind of put him in a really good spot because you have some veterans to help him along the way? And will a guy like Sanders, can you pick him top 5 and not play him?
Yeah.
Do you kind of make, like, we're not ready yet. We don't have a good enough team around him. Are they thinking that way? Where and by the way, this is a regime that could be on their last leg.
Yeah.
So are they trying to buy some time potentially with that? And even if it's just do right by the organization, or does it say what they really feel about Sanders, and then they're not going to pick him?
I mean, it could be a little bit of both, you know. And listen, there's been a lot of smoke on Sanders, whether it's true or not, whether it's teams trying to, you know, maybe turn some other teams off to the idea of taking Sanders. I guess we'll find out on draft day. But I think if I'm the New York Giants and I look at Jameis Winston, I look at Russell Wilson, I look at, okay, these aren't the permanent fixes. Like, these could be Band-Aids that maybe last you a year, maybe 2 years, and that's it. But this is not going to be your franchise quarterback going forward. So if I'm the Giants, then yeah, I got to keep on swinging until I find my franchise quarterback. So whether it's Sanders or whether Jackson Dart, you want to trade back and maybe get Jackson Dart, I feel like they got to make some kind of play there to show fans like, hey, we're still trying to swing, get our franchise guy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do because that impacts the Jags. I mean, in a big way. If the two quarterbacks don't go in the top 5, all the things that we talked about yesterday that were on the table, you want the two quarterbacks going because you feel like then you can get like one of your 3 guys that feels like the Jags would be super interested in at number 5. So we'll see how that ends up shaking out. Hey, Evan Engram is a guy that a couple of weeks ago now went to the Denver Broncos in free agency. And you brought up an interesting topic in our text chain here. A little bit, did the Jags miss on not getting anything out of him, right? Not getting anything for him, meaning 0 draft capital. Like, why didn't they trade him? Like, they got very little draft capital for Christian Kirk as well.
Correct.
But they released him. And why do you say it's kind of crazy that they didn't?
Because I think in terms of what Evan Engram can bring to a team is more valuable right now than even Christian Kirk can bring to a team. And I think when you talk about a big tight end who's a red zone threat, who, you know, I guess in run blocking is just okay, if not maybe a little below average, but obviously in terms of receiving, being a quarterback's best friend, and being that red zone target, I felt like he maybe commanded a little draft capital. And when we talk about, you know, and I don't speak for every Jaguars fan out there, but a lot of the Jaguars fans who were like, it doesn't matter if he went to Houston, we got a draft pick for him. Okay, but then how are we so cool with just letting Engram just go to free agency without any...
Yeah, just to save the money.
Just to save the money.
And what was interesting about that is, like, he got paid similar money.
Exactly.
By the Broncos, too. So, like, I mean, essentially, you redo the deal, which you could have done anyway, because you could always just look at just about everybody that gets traded feels like they redo a deal or rip it up to some degree. So Does that just mean there weren't enough suitors out there? And they did release him with that failed physical designation tag, which might also play into it as well. But then he quickly got scooped up by Denver. I mean, it wasn't like first day, but it was pretty quick. I think he went on the visit first day to free agency and then was signed like 2 days later.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the fact that he was scooped up so quickly and, teams weren't taking their time shows that there was definitely a market for it. Now, this isn't to say that Gladstone didn't obviously, I'm sure he took calls and maybe nobody offered him anything. But if that's the case, then why not play a little hardball? Then why not? Like, there was no race to get rid of Evan Engram. Right? I mean, what's the date before you have to pay the contract?
Well, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with
the
this
new
contract.
league year.
League year would have been a couple of days later.
Okay.
So, I mean, there might have been a little bit of a timeline there.
Yeah.
Then they had enough feelers like, okay, there's not stuff coming in.
Yeah.
Right? You just don't know all that behind the scenes. The other thing I think about in these kind of situations is, are you doing right by the player, right? They respect Evan Engram. They're not going to keep him. You try to release guys in the best way possible. Like, I know that sounds weird, but that gives him a ton of options is the point. Like when he hits free agency, hey, we appreciate everything you've done. You've been an awesome free agent for us. You hit free agency. We're not getting a crazy amount of calls for it, so we're not going to hold out. We're going to give you time to start making phone calls and go figure out where you want to go, actually before free agency and the legal tampering even opens up.
I mean, I guess, but at the same time, this is a brand new regime. Like, do they really owe Evan Engram that, or is the goal to try to win football games? I mean,
there's a balance there.
There's a balance there. Like, did you do yourselves favors by trading Christian Kirk to a divisional opponent for a 7th-round pick? I think that's up for interpretation.
Yeah. I think when you're bringing it up, like it's kind of fascinating to bring up those two because we had the two deals.
Correct.
So I don't know we debated about this. Who's more valuable, right, for this year, for next year, right now? Kirk coming off injury, 28 years old. Evan Engram coming off a little bit of injury, but obviously high level production as well. He's a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams. We debated it. I mean, I think the whole fan base debated, okay, which one do you let go? Which one do you keep? I think there was an interesting mix there if you could only pick one. And so who has the most value? I'm not sure I saw this landing on a trade to begin with anyway. If you're going to release him, release him. The 7th rounder did nothing for me. I mean, we're pretty critical of that. Like, I would have tried to keep him away from the division rival, quite frankly, in Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
But that must have been like they must have wanted to get Kirk in, and they were willing to do that with the Jags, right? They didn't want to go to free agency. To me, I look at it as a Houston thing. They knew they were going to go after him. They didn't want that competition. They went and got him. Engram maybe just didn't have as big of biggest amount of suitors.
Yeah, which, I mean, obviously is the case because they got nothing for him, but I just find that very hard to believe because, in my opinion, he was the top tight end in free agency. And I think there's a lot of teams out there that wouldn't mind having a tight end. So if that's the conversation, if that's the dialogue, I can't believe there wasn't one team out there that's like, hey, can we at least try to give a 7th-round pick for him? Or maybe there was, and maybe it was a divisional opponent as well. May want to do it with him. I don't know.
Yeah. And as Hamby's Burner says, and Coach Rip too, talking about the value of the guys, but Hamby's Burner says, think offloading Kirk's dead cap was more move there. Yeah, there's some financial stuff as well with the Jags. I mean, I think there are a lot of, and I don't claim to be like capologist guy at all, not even close. I don't even really try to delve into that stuff. I think some of it can be very confusing. And I think also, I'm not the guy that should be educating you on it. Let's just say that. But I also think there are a lot of times nuanced things that even we on the outside don't see, and for whatever reason, like there might have been some more than just even dead cap reason or whatever reason with Ingram's contract, like just some stuff, little footnotey things in the contract that made it make more sense to be released and redone for the Broncos maybe, or for potential suitors or whoever else. I don't know. I really don't know, but it's an interesting point, and because that's really what Austin's bringing up is in hindsight, are we a little surprised that a guy? I would just say this, Austin. I'm a little surprised that it was Denver and it was Denver for Engram. Like you heard, it was a visit to Denver. Denver got him.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and it wasn't like sight unseen type of thing. He actually visited Denver.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that says something about the market for Engram. Crazy enough. Even with everything you just said, it might, because why wouldn't he then shop around a little bit more? Like if he had 3 or 4 visits potentially and take his time, he's still going to get paid. Either that or just love Denver. Or was it as one of his only things?
I mean, yeah, and maybe we'll never know. I just think a guy coming off of a Pro Bowl year in 2023 that had 114 receptions, and I get what those receptions look like. A lot of them were in the backfield. A lot of them were being a safety blanket. But sometimes the numbers speak for themselves, especially they speak for themselves when you didn't really have an offense to work with. So I consider me shocked if there wasn't any offer on the table for Evan Engram, which I guess there wasn't, then I guess I'll be shocked. But I think if we look at this up-and-coming year, I think Engram might have a better year than Christian Kirk in terms of, you want to call it fantasy purposes, you want to call it productivity, you want to call it what he brings to the team. I think Evan Engram is going to bring more to the Broncos than Christian Kirk's going to bring to the Texans.
That'll be an interesting thing to watch. And by the way, I think Jacksonville's hoping for that. Much as you love these two guys and hope they do well, I think Jacksonville's hoping for that, considering he's in the division. Now, of course, AFC, we'll see with how much better he makes the playoff team in Denver. But we will find out. Coach Rip says, I'm pretty sure it was the pitch and the intent of the offense Coach Payton has used in other places. Denver, the city, the offense, the money. I think it was a great choice. He's absolutely could be, right? Denver's a great place. That's a good place to play. Maybe it was a fit. It seemed like they were playing their chess pieces, and they wanted to put Engram in that chess game for them. I remember talking about that when he went to Denver. And so maybe it just made the most sense for everybody involved. But I do think there are a lot of things that go into it, and might have been some of it like, could the player of Engram just like, well, just release me then. I don't want to be traded to somewhere I can't control. Can you release me? And if there weren't enough phone calls, maybe sooner or later the Jags caved in on that, right? Like that might have been, that's not a day or a conversation. That might have been 5 conversations, right? Over 2 weeks. Hey, we're going to see if we can field some calls for you. We're not getting any. Okay, we'll release you. Yeah. You know? So yeah, we that joker position they've really embraced there in Denver. By the way, in that offense for Sean Payton. All right, let's take a time out. We come back. Did you hear the Tom Izzo stuff? There are 1,000 players in the transfer portal right now. The day it's been open for like 36 hours, and so Tom Izzo was asked about the transfer portal, and I thought the response and the little rant was fantastic on a lot of different levels. We'll get to that when we come back. Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Hey, Jags brass goes down to the owners' meetings this coming weekend, really Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we will see them down there. We'll be in West Palm Beach on Monday's show. So we'll have that for you as well as busy on the draft inside that building now as the Jags try to lock in who they will take on that draft board with pick number 5. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Kruzanovich's under-23 men's team.
It's in the dying moments.
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
And welcome back to the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz sitting in. We got a little bit of rotation going on, a little revolving door.
I like it.
Kim's Corner, Bleak Bills, Casey Kurtz. Tomorrow, Hamby back.
We think.
Yeah, we think.
Yeah.
We got him working. He'll be back for no gate fees a little bit later today.
Oh, nice.
We're going to do a special. I'm going to try it. Do a little Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp show, a little baseball show from 3 to 4 today. So we got a lot of programming today on a Wednesday, usually anyway, with no gate fees, presented by Nimnick Buick GMC, Baker Sports, and Perfect Rack Billiards. And I'm going to hustle after the show over to the baseball grounds because they have media day over there today. So we're like, well, let's see if we can shuffle some shrimp folks in there after no gate fees, and we'll just stay on and do a little an hour of baseball since opening day is tomorrow, which tomorrow we'll do a little bit more baseball with our picks and everything like that. But we'll have some fun with it today. They've got some great new renovations, by the way, at the baseball grounds. Spent $30 million and new seats and outdoor viewing and everything else, and a little glimpse of that yesterday during the Florida State game, which was sold out. The week from what's today? April 1st, by the way, is the opening day or home opening day for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. And Casey Kurtz, you going to be there for that one? Because Mr. Pico's been telling us the Red Sox are bringing like all the studs.
Maybe not.
What do you mean they're not?
Christian Campbell got called up, and they have not made a decision on Roman Anthony yet. So
those are two big prospects. There's another one too, though, right?
Marcelo Meyer will be there.
He'll be there, and then Yoshida is doing a rehab stint, according to Mr. Pico.
Unconfirmed. They haven't said that he's going to be here yet.
Okay, so there's a chance. Just trying to get people excited.
So you're saying there's a chance
for the Worcester. What do they call themselves? Paw Sox? Are they were the Paw Sox.
I call them Red Sox AAA.
They're like the Woo Sox now.
The Woo Sox? Let me see. I
don't like the AAA Red Sox anymore because I'm a Pawtucket, Rhode Island guy. Paw Sox are it. Forget about Worcester. Can't believe they moved out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
What? So were teams hurting so much back in the days of baseball where they couldn't come up with any names besides their Sox?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know why that was. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
My guess was it's very.
Our socks are red. Let's just use that.
Well, think about like Little League Baseball and all the different colors. Like, remember, you had like Joe's Automotive as your sponsor, you know? But like one team was yellow, one team was red, one team. You had all the different colors.
I was when in Little League in Pop Warner football. I was Cops for 1 year, the Cops Food Center.
There you go.
So we're the Cops,
that's a cool name.
Yeah.
But the way I envisioned when I was playing Little League, you had like the stirrups, the yellow stirrups. Or the reds. So my guess is way back in the day, they had an element of that where it's just like you differentiated the teams by their colors.
Sure.
And so that's probably how the White Sox, Red Sox became a thing. I don't know if there were other Sox at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's only two of them that stood the test of time.
For sure.
So that might have been it. It might have been as simple as that.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like 1800s here, or
no? Hey,
1800s.
I get it, man.
They weren't really talking about creative branding.
People needed ideas, man. I got it. I don't know. Sox are red. Red Sox. Let's do it.
I just saw this quote from John Fanta. This is from Kevin Willard. Actually, he's tweeting it though. Quote, the transfer portal is crazy. We're talking about basketball. There are kids asking for $2 to $3 million right now. The money has exploded. Crazy because we have no guardrails. We have no rules. It's been as badly of a rule implemented as ever, and agents are taking advantage of it. You know, I know this is not easy. I understand winning is paramount. But I look at a quote like that, and we're talking about Kevin Willard, who I think just complained about not having enough NIL money and all the things in place at Maryland, right? Like vocally said that during last week's event. And my response to this is like, well, if agents are taking advantage of it, they're taking advantage of you because you're paying it. Like you're the system. Like this is what I always get mad at. You're the system. Presidents, ADs, institutions are the actual system. If you want to put a stop to it, you can even probably collude on this front. There's none of that for like the NFL owners who aren't supposed to collude, right?
You're tampering on, yeah.
But if you wanted to get together and say, hey, we're going to police this ourselves, well, you don't do that. So you are the ones that are opening up the wild, wild west. And I'm not trying to be self-righteous here and just say, well, I wouldn't do it. I get it. There's a big lure to do it. But you can't complain about it in this vein if you are the one that are allowing it to happen. You are the big-time coach that just went in front of a microphone and said, we need more NIL dollars. We need to get this stuff in place. And now you're like, it's the worst rule ever, and agents are taking advantage of it. Mm-hmm. They're taking advantage of you because you are letting them take advantage of you. You're the one that is willing to pay somebody $2.5 million to play basketball for you that is 18 or 19 years old. Like, and you have no idea if they're really that good. So the recent 1,000 guys in the transfer portal right now is a story in like the first 48 hours. And I saw something last week, and again, I have no idea how true this was, but it makes some sense if you back it up on what Kevin Willard said. And it's every starting lineup in the Power Four, if you make the starting lineup, you're basically making at least $500,000 in basketball. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But again, you have allowed crazy to happen. This is what I get this is my soapbox stuff that I constantly will say. Nobody wants to listen to it, and it's fine. But this is where people, like if I on Twitter say, well, Nick Saban, you were a part of it, or Rick Pitino, or John Calipari, or any big-time coach, you were a part of it. You allowed us to get to this part. Not just the coaches, by the way, the ADs, and really the folks that really should be lambasted for this are presidents. School presidents have allowed this kind of activity to take place on your campus and let the sports of football and basketball, primarily because of the money that's made in them, get to this point. That's what I believe. I'm not. Okay. I know everybody else doesn't believe with me, but that's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get what you're saying, but also I think it stems from the NCAA, and it became an arms race where if the schools don't take part, if the schools don't adapt and adjust to the landscape, they fall behind.
True.
So they're really left with no choice. Like, I get what you're saying where, yeah, it's the president's fault, it's the coach's fault. That's fine. But it's adapt or die.
Yeah.
So either you get in line or you become an irrelevant university. So I think it starts directly at the top for setting the precedent in the first place.
It's a great point. I think you're right. You know what it reminds me of, Austin? It goes back to me the steroid era. Okay? And it's funny because I get all over Major League Baseball for the steroid era. But I guess I don't get as much over the NCAA because I know they're incompetent. Like, so somebody else had to step up and police this stuff, and the institutions did exactly what you just said. But if you take it to the steroid era, I'm like, how can these people, like the Major League Baseball knew what was going on. They took advantage of what was going on. They sold what was going on. They rescued their sport in what was going on, and then they just torched every guy that did it, like in front of Congress and everywhere else. But it was the same thing, adapt or die. Like if you did not take steroids, I would have taken steroids in that era too.
Sure.
Because it meant $30 million. It meant my livelihood in baseball. The guy that's standing right next to you in the locker and you're battling with that spot, he's juicing.
Sure.
So the only way to stay up with that guy, at least this is what guys felt like, I think, and because people were turning their cheek on it, was to also juice or I'm out of the game.
Of course. Yeah.
So you're right, adapt or die, and I guess that's what basketball's doing too.
Yeah, but the problem with baseball, Major League Baseball and everything was that they tried to adapt to morality. Like, eventually morality won the day. There was a while where it was like, who cares about what players are taking? This is the most entertaining baseball's ever been. We're talking about Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. Look at what the numbers are doing. We don't care about morality. But all of a sudden, some people had something to say about it, and it was like, well, that's not right. They could die taking these things and all these steroids and everything, and then all of a sudden morality won the day eventually. And that was, once again, I feel like baseball trying to, like, get ahead of it and say, all right, well, we got to be the moral right sport here. We have to be the righteous sport. So if you do steroids, see ya.
Yeah. I don't know when that flip was about it. I think it just became too obvious.
Yeah.
Right? I think we could end up down that road at some point. It's like, what? Guys are getting paid $3 million to play basketball at Wake Forest? Like, that's too much. Like, I don't know. I don't know when that becomes too much. Maybe it just doesn't matter. Again, we get to fill out a bracket. That's all we really care about. Like, we really care about filling out a bracket. We're not invested enough, outside of me going on this little rant here, to say, oh, we got to fix it. But my point is the people inside the sport aren't either. They get there and complain about it. But what are they doing to act on it? They're just falling in line. And to your point, it's adapt or die. Are you going to be the one that's going to sit there on your on the side of the road, saying this is the way we should do it? And you're the only one because there's no. It reminds you of like drafting in NASCAR. You're like you go outside the line and you're all left behind. You're like, it was a good idea until you finish 42nd.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating what's going on, but it does feel a little bit like that steroid era to me. In that sense. And what we complained about yesterday on the show, and what people are now complaining about even more, is the timing of it. And so listen to Tom Izzo. It's a long, and Casey, I don't know what this is going to look like, but we can even keep our mics open a little bit on it because he says some stuff. The whole thing is just fantastic. And so listen to Michigan State's legendary coach, of course, Tom Izzo.
I got 15, 16 guys that have just accomplished something that hasn't been done much in my career. First of all, we've never won 17 Big Ten games. Second of all, to be 17-3 in a league that is this good and only have 3 losses is phenomenal. Third of all, they've given me everything they can academically, athletically, and socially. And I'm going to think about replacing them. I've recruited the guys. They helped me recruit the guys who recruit. Nobody knows. And by the way, there's not a lot of recruiting done in the transfer portal. It's offering. There's not recruiting. It's paying. And we don't even know all these people are doing it. We don't even know what we can do yet. This is an amazing deal. And again, I'm going to apologize to you, but I am ticked off that you asked me that right now, because I think you just cheated me. So if I keep talking, I cheat my players. And I'll cheat myself before I'll cheat my players.
It's about 120 into this, by the way. He goes for another 4 minutes.
Portal. I can lift you a lot of schools you can call and ask them. They might have the better opinion than me. But me, I'm homed in on Ole Miss. I might even call Mr. Manning and figure out something that I don't know about that place. And that's all I want. Chris Beard, what he's done has been incredible. But what my team's done has been incredible. And I'm not ready to move on. So, Judd, I've followed what you said. I'm going to worry today.
Who's Judd, by the way?
Guys I got in this program
long-time Michigan State,
that have done an incredible job this year, and that's it. And if that costs me later, so be it. But Tom Izzo isn't cheating the people that he has that have been loyal to him for this chaos that is going on out there. Is that cool? You got enough? No, because you don't understand.
I mean, dude had a mic drop and you want to hear more. Just let him leave.
That was it.
Did you see him just hit himself in the head?
Yeah.
But giving these guys a chance to win one more game, get to Elite Eight, and one more game, and have a memory
or a moment
that'll
remind me of A Few Good
their
Men.
Entire life, their kids' life, and their grandkids' life, because that's what it is. And so, excuse me for being passionate about it or pissed off about it, whichever words you want to use. But I'm not going to talk about it because it's not fair. It's not fair to the people. You could say it's fair to your program. I'll run my program like I want to run my program. And people have a disagreement with that, God bless them. But these guys that gave me everything they could give me are going to have a chance. And I'm not going to screw it up by spending any time on other stuff other than, I don't eat, I don't sleep right now. So why in the hell would I do something else that might benefit me a year from now? And really, it's not going to benefit me now because I don't know what I have. I don't know how much money I have. I don't know which players are leaving or staying. I don't have any idea. So why would I do that? Waste of time. All right, let's get back to some good things. That's not insulting. I'm not mad at you. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm not really. But
Let him know.
I think you should know me well enough. But I learned from Stephen A. and you have the right to ask the question. That's why I asked today. Yeah. No, but today is, don't say it that way. Just say I asked the question. Because today doesn't matter any more than Friday to me. This is a full week of work. I got 3 teams to prepare for. Okay? Because that's what we do. We try to win the weekend. Winning one game and losing the other doesn't turn me on. Doesn't excite me. But the weekend,
so
that
good.
excites me. Appreciate it.
No, we're not done.
It wasn't
yet.
a preach. It wasn't a, don't do that to me, okay? Well, he's on a sermon now. No. You're talking about something that is wrong, what we're doing. Because it's not, we always talk about what's fair to the kids. That's what the NCAA, that's what everybody, and that's what the media, what's fair to the kid? What is fair to the kids? I'm going to do what's fair to the kids. I'm going to give them every ounce of energy I have until we lose. Then I'll worry about the next stage. Go ahead.
So good.
It's the best, man.
I mean, it's really good. And look, I've been over the years, Tom Izzo, he's interesting to me. It's so good. First of all, it was over like 4 different times.
I know. Yeah.
And, I like that he obviously didn't love the question, but he didn't also hammer the reporter. I thought he did a good job of, I think it is a pertinent question right now. I mean, look, we talked about it twice in the show. We don't talk college basketball all the time. Talk about it twice this week. This transfer portal is a big deal. It's right in the middle of the NCAA tournament. Again, this is on you, NCAA. What's wrong with the timing? Everything's wrong with the timing. You get this kind of response because this guy's trying to get ready to win a national championship, and so are 16 other teams, and they've got to deal with all this nonsense, and they're not even thinking about it. Thankfully, for Michigan State and some of these teams, they've got a big enough brand where people want to go there. They're going to have enough money. They don't have to be ahead of the curve on the transfer portal like maybe some other teams.
So I saw this last night and fell in love with it. And I celebrate people, coaches, athletes that are in the minority, that go against the trends, that buck the system. And if we're calling a spade, Tom Izzo is a dying star in a universe full of coaches that are on Twitter, that want to do locker room dances, that try to relate to players. And Tom Izzo does not fit in that mold. Tom Izzo, you'll see on the sidelines, he'll get in a player's face and he'll chew them out. And sometimes, much to the chagrin of a lot of media members, much to the chagrin of a lot of NCAA basketball fans, except I think people from Michigan State, sometimes he'll grab a player by the jersey and get in his face. And people have an issue with that because that's the old school way of thinking, right? But I think what this old school way of thinking has showed that, yeah, maybe he can come across as a little brash, as kind of like a power-hungry individual on the baseline who's going to chew his players out. But that same dude cares. And that's what gets lost, I feel like, a lot of times in college sports, where you have all these coaches that are trying to adapt so much to what the modern athlete means and how they think and how they relate to the world and everything. But do you really care about them? And I think players, when they enter transfer portals, going through NIL, and yeah, don't get it twisted. It's about the money too. But then there's a rude awakening when you get to university and you realize, hey, maybe coach doesn't really give a crap about me at all. Maybe I'm just here because I can score 20 points a game. Maybe I'm just here because I can throw a football really long. But then you have a guy like Tom Izzo where you generally see that he cares about his players. So, listen, I grew up with Tom Izzo. I grew up hearing how great of a coach he was, obviously Michigan State, so I never really cheered for him that much. But I do respect him in this light. I've always respected him because he's an old school way of thinking. And his way of thinking, it's prehistoric, some people want to say. Yeah. And people want to say that there's no room for that anymore in the game. But when you hear a guy stick up for his players, when you hear a guy go above and beyond to make sure that his players are good, isn't that what we all want? Isn't that what we all should celebrate? So I'm glad this came out because I think it speaks volumes where he always gets a bad rap for how he presents himself on the sidelines. But man, he presents himself like that, but guess what? He actually cares too.
Yeah, as a big takeaway from several times in there, I thought that was cool. Because, listen, I hammer the big-time coach a lot. I really do. I think there's so much ego. I think the reason why we're here, I just said it. And I might be wrong, but I believe in many respects we're here in today's college landscape because of guys like Tom Izzo. Not him alone, just because of guys in that realm. But you do have to acknowledge how passionate they are for the kid, for the young man. What he said about the memory, the perspective of that. Maybe he's got more of that as he's even older. He's 70 years old now. Been doing this for a long time. And that really came through. And I was excited to hear that, right? Because I do think at the root of everything, people coach because they really do care about the younger person, and coaching them, developing them, and everything else. That's why some of this money stuff and social media stuff and everything else really bothers people because it takes away from the root of that. But I think that was a reminder of that. So I agree with you. I thought the whole thing was fascinating. And really nothing negative about Izzo there. I thought he handled it really well. He could have really, I think, unfairly hammered the reporter, and he didn't. I think he tried to get a little jab in at the NCAA there as well, which he should. But again, these are the power people in play that can try to change it. I don't know what has to happen, what's the next step? But these are the kind of things that they can change it. Like, they've got to be the ones to change it.
But
the NCAA is not changing it.
Yeah, because much like baseball, it's not a morality issue. Until this whole thing becomes a morality issue where it makes you go in a bad light, it's not going to change. Like, it's simply not going to. And I'm not sure when we talk about morality in society, what it's going to take to be like, well, this isn't fair. Let's change the rules right now. Like, no, because guess what? Athletes are getting paid. Should they get paid? Yeah. It's a full-time job. They bring a lot of money to the university. Now, there can be an argument of how much money they should be getting paid, but that's not really a morality issue, is it? Because, like, no one's really getting affected by, well, people that are fans are like, well, I'm working this job and they're making that much. Like,
yeah.
That's the only morality issue that there is. So until there's some giant thing that comes out where it's like, this is questioning our belief systems and our morality, it'll be more of the same.
Yeah. One other thing I think about, you see Fran McCaffrey, the Iowa coach, he's going to Penn. And I tweeted this, I was like, man, these coaches just won't retire. I say this like once every couple of years. It's just wild to me. And listen, we're getting younger and younger. 65 is not nearly as old as it used to be. 70, as Tom Izzo is like, guy's got more money than he knows what to do with, right? He obviously still feels a purpose. And, like, I'm cool with all that. It just surprises me a lot. It's like Fran McCaffrey had a nice run at Iowa, really great run. We knew him back from the Albany days. He was at CN at the time, so just knew him and the family a little bit. And I'm just like, man, another gig? Like, another gig?
I mean,
like,
listen,
they hate to retire is my point.
Yeah.
Like, if it's in your blood, it's in your blood, right? It's like a musician doing a concert at 68 years old still. Like, there's money to be made too, by the way.
Yeah.
But you're passionate about it.
No, you're definitely passionate about it. And this is why this is why I love Coach Driscoll. This is why I've always had a high regard towards basketball coaches, because I had some great ones, playing in AAU. I mean, I got to be around Bo Ryan and Bo Ryan's son, Will Ryan, when I played AAU basketball. Bo Ryan's a legend when it comes to Wisconsin Badger basketball. But I've always respected it because, unlike football, where I feel like if you're a coach, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad. Sometimes you can hide behind your play calling. Sometimes you can hide behind your scheme. Like, yeah, it's the culture building, all this stuff. But in basketball, there's only so much you can do, like in terms of drawing up plays and everything. All right, are you going to play zone? Are you going to play man? Okay, what kind of offense are we going to be? We're going to pick and roll? We're going to be a three-point shooting? There's only so much you can do schematic-wise. So then it comes out to, well, how do you get the best from your players? And that's with, trying to reach them, trying to relate to them, trying to actually coach them. And I think it's a lot harder to hold sustained success in the sport of basketball because, like I just said, you can't hide behind the X's and O's every once in a while. Like, you have to hide behind your recruiting, but you also have to hide behind getting the best out of said recruiting. So I think there's a bigger spotlight, I feel like, with basketball coaches than there is with football coaches.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I agree with that. I think that's right there. It just will always surprise me that these guys are so old and still coaching. But I don't.
Well, and that's why I celebrate. That's why I celebrate Tom Izzo, though, because this guy's been through how many generations of players? I mean, he's coaching that one dude's son now.
I know it. Yeah. No. Oh yeah. And then some, probably, right?
Why can't I think of his name? He's coaching. He coached the NBA player's son. I can't remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. But anyways,
is it on this year's roster?
Yeah. It's the big kid. Whatever. But yeah, my point is he's seeing players come and go, and he's still doing the dang thing. And I feel like he hasn't really adapted that much in terms of like what his coaching style is.
Which is cool. Yeah, like that is good. If you can continue to do that, I think that's what a lot of people will say. If I can do it my way, I'm going to stay in. If I can't do it my way, I don't feel like I'm going to do it my way, then I'm getting out.
Correct.
So yeah, it's just pretty wild. You got stuff left in the tank. Keep doing it. And Tom Izzo is doing that. Fran McCaffrey obviously going to Penn and doing that. I was kind of thinking that Fran McCaffrey, he's a fiery guy now.
Yeah.
And so can you get away with some of the fire that he has at Penn? I don't know if the Ivy League standard is a little bit different or not. I'm not sure. But we will find out. By the way, speaking of Matthew Driscoll, he's planning on stopping by on Friday. Talk a little bit about the NCAA tournament and about maybe a lot of these things that are going on in college basketball right now. He lost at least one player and probably some other. I haven't even checked, but at least Jalen Smith to the portal once again this year, and they continue to lose people just each and every year at the mid-major level. All right, let's do this. Take a time out. Shock Your Mock is next. We're going to have the song I can't wait for the song. Forget about the mock drafts. Shock Your Mock 2025. He oversold the song, or he delivered on the song.
Hey, Brent, you know me, man. I always deliver.
All right. Awesome.
I didn't oversell nothing.
About to deliver. Coming up next on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jags Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Action Sports Jacks is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion.
Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, don't forget to check out our friends with Republic Services and Recycling Simplified at your home. 3 easy steps to make sure you can do that with you and your family and make the process easier and also more efficient. Good to have our friends at Recycling Simplified and Republic Services with us here on the Brent and Austin Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, recyclingsimplified.com. We have recycled this segment for about 5 or 6 years now. By the way, that could have been the segue game.
Back to the that was great, man. Back to the well we go.
Hey, new list of the segment game. Get a sponsor, and you've got to turn it into a sporting event. That's good. Hint like one that. For Hamby. Okay.
By the way, William Torres, I see you. Thank you for the update. Jason Richardson. He's coaching his son. Yep, Jay Rich.
Yeah, that's when you've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and by the way, he's been doing it such a long time that he might be able to get to the grandson someday.
For sure, man.
At least with some people. Like, I'm not sure about Richardson. I'm just saying it's possible that you could coach somebody's grandkid sooner or later, that these guys hang into it 40, 45, 50 years. I don't know how we got on Bono's badminton. I missed that part of the chat today. But there we have it in the chat. All right, so what do you think? Are we ready to go here?
Well, I mean, are we going to bury do we have the old Shock Your Mock song so we can finally just put that to bed or not? If you don't, Casey, it's not a big deal because I don't miss it. So.
Nope, I don't work here. I just got...
Sounds like a plan. So in case you were following along last year, if you need a little refresher, I don't want to say I milked it in a little bit, but we experimented, right? Sometimes as artists, we got to experiment, right? Sometimes, Jay-Z worked with Linkin Park for a while. Like, so you just got to go out of your comfort zone, out of your niche every once in a while.
You just went out of my comfort zone.
So well, there you go. I went out of the comfort zone, man, and we did AI last year. We had a bunch of songs. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it. I'm going to be honest. It didn't sit well with me, right? Because it felt like I phoned it in.
You weren't proud of it.
It's almost like if you're a chef and like you're trying to make that 5-course meal and you don't put any love into it, right? Like, it still might turn out good, but did you put the love into it? So I scrubbed all the AI, said, keep your $5, we're done. And I went back to the drawing board. I went back to the Beat Laboratory. And hopefully what I came up with here is something people are going to like.
Shh, I see shock marks.
I am shocked. I am shocked. That's what I mean. I am appalled.
Because you guys wouldn't figure it out. Figure it out.
Hey, you need to get off Kirk Cousins. And being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
9. Cannot sleep on Kirk.
Figure it out.
Even for the internet, it's pretty shocking.
Mel, talk to me.
He's got a huge trunk, though.
Figure it out.
He's got a huge trunk, though.
Figure it out.
He's got a huge trunk, though.
Duval.
I feel shocked.
Jack the Chagrin.
I feel shocked.
Jack the Chagrin.
I feel shocked.
Duval. With that, game on.
Oh, did he put the Gladstone bow on it too? Oh, he put the Gladstone bow on it to wrap it up? Oh.
That is good stuff. That is this.
Yeah, we good?
That is this.
We good? Are we off the AI bandwagon now?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We all good, Brent?
I'm crying. I'm laughing.
Pretty huge trunk, By the way, I understand that the Kirk Cousins thing makes no sense because we're talking about mock drafts. I don't care. It was Hamby's Hamby died on the hill.
He did.
So I'm going to bury him on the hill. You know what I'm saying? He's going to bleed out on that Kirk Cousins hill.
Listen, there's one thing that's a little bit wrong with what you just did.
Oh, what's wrong, man?
From your perspective,
Okay.
not ours.
Okay.
You set a standard.
Ah, yeah.
The standard wasn't set last year with the AI.
No.
I mean, in years prior,
There
it
was no
like
bar.
It was the yelling shock your mock.
It was.
Like, we'll have to go back and get all the different ones, I guess, now.
Yeah.
This thing was like, what did you do? Garage Bandit or something? I mean,
No.
how did you do that?
Literally, me and my son were watching the basketball games. I did an iMovie. So I just got a bunch of clips together. Obviously, I got the Kendrick Lamar beat and just kind of threw it all together.
That was very well done.
Took me about an hour and a half. Yeah.
Hour and a half.
Not to give you the bad news, but that will get copyrighted every time on
Yeah, we're
YouTube
fine.
and Facebook. So if you don't catch it live, you cannot catch it on the replay.
Yeah, we're fine. We're all good. We're all good, Casey.
I'm just saying.
You didn't have to tell me that part.
Come on, man.
Oh,
Here
yeah, you're
comes-
cooked. I think the stream's already down. But that's
Is it really?
like
No.
that part of it, yeah.
Oh, I got you. Well,
Yeah.
it is what it is, man.
Well,
Worth
you
it.
got to catch it live because live you'll be able to hear.
It's cool. I'll send Kendrick a little, email. Yeah, I'll send an email. Ask him.
there's a lot
I
of love
want
on
to
the
beef
show.
with Kendrick.
Yeah, that's
might
the
wanna
way.
change
Hey, Casey, that could ruin my career.
11 a.m. every day now. So
There we go.
there you go. You can catch a song then and maybe not
Hear that, Kendrick? Yep, 11 a.m. every day. Bring your lawyers. We'll be waiting.
So what you're telling me is like we might have to change it out for a music bed and keep everything else in. Keep the raw.
No.
Keep the raw in case we have to edit.
I have the raw version for sure, but Kendrick had a big year. We're going with the Kendrick Lamar thing until further notice.
I
All right,
appreciate it.
that's part of the nostalgia.
Until notice.
until we get a cease and desist. I feel like we're granted one of those, Brent. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're good.
Probably should do that.
Yeah. Gonna put the
all right. So
station in
what do we
jeopardy.
have now? The next part of this.
Yes.
Look what we. Let's see.
We don't have any names. That's great. Thank you, Hamby.
Hamby. Okay, we live and learn. I've got the names.
I just want to confirm I did not make this. So
Oh no, Casey.
don't hit me with those. I can't read it. I don't know who it is. I didn't make it. Okay. I showed up and it was here, and I said cool.
Now listen, he did tell me that he might have to. We've got a little template we had to build, but things are coming in. Even though it's all on Pro Football Network, which we asked, it still comes in. Some people take like still shots, I think, of it. And so there's some different things we have to squeeze around.
Sure.
So we're going to live and learn on that a little. And so he even told me, he's like, I had to stretch it a little bit to make it fit. So I'm not going to hammer him on this one.
Kind of like my patience getting stretched sometimes when we do this show, but it's all good.
But we had to get like our logo up there. Like it's kind of a cool thing.
I like this.
It's set up nice. And then the last part of it is hopefully we can put everybody's names up. So it's a Gigantor in Jacksonville.
Those are two fan favorites. Hang on, let me write their names down. So we got Gigantors on top.
Well, let me just double check.
Yep.
So I go through which ones he had.
Big Dog, the first round pick is different. Who'd he pick?
Well, I know. I got to get the thing that I sent. I got to go find which one's which.
Should we just play the song again and call
Settle
it a day?
down, Casey.
Should we just play the song again and call it a day?
I should know this anyway because Membu, he loves his offensive lineman, Gigantor.
Oh, he does.
And then,
so that's Gigantors.
So he's on the top.
Okay.
And versus Daniel Kilkenny.
Oh, yeah. Another friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Okay.
And jumps in. Who we probably still owe a hat or something from way back in the day.
Okay. All right.
So he's on that bottom there with Mason Graham.
Okay.
Number one. All right.
All right. Gigantor, top one. Listen, he's been very adamant, Brent, right? He, I think I even said, like, it's not a really sexy pick to take an offensive tackle. Gigantor's got those hungry eyes, man, for some meat up front, man. He's got some hungry eyes for those big hosses up front to protect Trevor Lawrence, and that big hoss is Armand. How do you pronounce his last name? Membo. Okay, easy enough. Looks a lot harder than it should be. All right, so we'll go with him first here, bringing up the draft profile. Brent, don't worry. During the first hour of the show, I spent 30 minutes finding all these players, but we got them. So, NFL comparison to Membo, Zach Tom. Who's Zach Tom? Who is Zach Tom?
Did you forget Thomas?
We're
comparing him to a linebacker?
It said Zach Tom.
Is that like TOM or THOM or what?
According to Lanton Zerline, it's Zach Tom is an NFL comparison.
I think I'm going to need my glasses.
Membo, young, talented prospect whose lack of NFL tackle size will test teams' willingness to make expectations for their standards. So here's the thing about Membo. Me and Hamby actually broke this down a little bit, Brent, when you were gone. He's like 6'4", which I feel like is still tall. Now, if you look at the metrics, the size and everything, He's got 33.5-inch arms, 9 3/4 hands. Kind of smaller hands, I feel like, for being that big.
For a big guy.
But he's 6'4", 332. Like, I think that's big enough. Oh, and by the way, ran a 4.91. Not sure when you want your tackles to run a 4.91 and a 40-yard dash, unless there's like an interception or something. But hey, it's Trevor Lawrence. Those days are behind us. Hopefully, Trevor, right? So,
what's the arm length?
33.5.
All right.
So
Campbell, by the way, I just saw this. The reason I asked, not for a Trent Baalke, he's not asking to ask you, but Will Campbell was 33 inches today at his pro day.
Nice.
Arm length. So shorter than Membo.
So strengths for Membo: impeccable body control and poise in pass sets, keeps weight inside on kick slides and easily redirects versus counters, protects with independent hands and a fluid mirror.
Fluid mirror?
He's got a fluid mirror.
What does that mean?
I don't know, man. But hey, remember, objects in mirror are closer than they appear, so heads up to that. Twitchy hands can cinch up rushers who get too close to him. So this guy could be a good bouncer. Brent, maybe at some kind of Waffle House or something like that. Athletic and agile to stay connected to rushers around the arc. Somebody call Noah because we're building one. So there's a lot to like about the guy. As far as weaknesses, there's nothing really like mental or like stuff in his game. It's more of just his size. He's below the height standards, it says, of NFL starting tackles. Like, for instance, Lane Johnson, I think, is 6'7". I think the other guy, the rugby player, who's the other guy in Philly that they just gave the contract to? Magaleta. Yeah. I think he's like 6'8", right? So I understand that there's a certain preconceived notion that we have, like, you got to be over 6'6".
Of a man, right?
Exactly. I think 6'4" is going to be okay. Sometimes he must prove his anchor against NFL speed to power rushers and not a deep bender and turns to leaning at times.
Does it say anything in there about his ability to play guard? Do they feel like that? Or what do I feel like a bounce around candidate?
Well, the way they talk about his size, right? Maybe, yeah. Nothing on him playing guard.
Okay.
Which, if you're going to take him at number 5...
Well, you're not going to take him at 5 play guard.
Yeah.
But the versatility we're seeing, they just obviously fell in love with that with the Ravens pick or free agent. I should get to know these guys.
I can't remember. Hey, dude, I'm the same way, man. Like Jordan Lewis.
I know I got Jordan Lewis on my mind.
There is some receiver from Washington.
I actually even know Hainsey from Tampa. Like, that one sticks out in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Who else did the Jags get in free agency?
Yeah.
That's so bad.
That's all good, man. It's all good. We have time to learn them, Brent. All right, so with pick number 36.
When you put that much effort into the song, the names will come a little later.
The names will come later. Priorities, man. All right, so we don't address interior defensive line with the first round, but lo and behold, Gigantor goes with Kenneth Grant in the second round, defensive tackle out of Michigan. The other Michigan tackle. Yeah. Like Mason Graham's getting all the love, but hey, don't sleep on Kenneth Grant either. This guy is 6'4", 331 pounds, 33.5-inch arms, and 10 1/8 hands. He's got some mitts. Overview.
He's got some mitts.
Grant is a broad-bodied nose tackle whose tape can run hot and cold depending on the game and the types of blocks that he's facing. He struggles to anchor when hit with down blocks due to his narrow base and tall pads, but he uses his power and length to beat single blocks and split double teams when he can find that crease. Strengths. Built with a broad... Apparently this guy is very barrel-chested, because this is the second time I've read that. So built with a broad chest, thick lowers, and long arms. The Brent Martineau special.
Lowers.
Somebody say some thick lowers. Now Brent's coming to call him.
He's got a trunk on him.
Like Trent Baalke with an injury, Brent Martineau with a thick lower or a thick trunk. Here we go. Capable of playing multiple spots in odd or even fronts. Can absorb and split double teams when pad level is right. Possesses club strength to knock blockers off balance. Weaknesses. Lacks explosiveness and dominance early in phase reps. Plays with tightness in the lowers. Ooh, Brent. So he's got a thick lower,
but it's
tight.
Too much tight.
Tight, man. Somebody get him some dancing, salsa, right? That's salsa, samba,
ballet,
whatever. Salsa, yeah. Get him some salsa
yoga at the very least.
Exactly, and has a tougher time growing roots against angle blocks. One NFL scout said he was a little inconsistent on tape in 2024, but is going to be a freaky tester. With guys that size, those numbers are really hard to find. So,
all right,
something to like from Kenneth Grant. More of a nose tackle than a 3 technique.
Here's what I'd say. Well, what's interesting there, Austin, is I have this. I've warned about getting labeled with the Jags defense and players labeled. But correct me if I'm wrong. Armstead's going to play, if he goes inside, it's a 3-technique spot.
Correct.
Mason Smith,
yes.
3-technique spot.
Yes. Devon Hamilton knows.
Devon Hamilton knows.
Strictly knows.
But that's like it, right? I mean, my point is, well, they obviously hung on to Devon Hamilton, so they have him in his plans. But is there more room for a guy like Kenneth Grant among their defensive front than even a Mason Graham right now in terms of snaps? Because where's your where's the guy that you really covet behind Hamilton? And by the way, I know the future you still have to get ready for with Armstead. It's probably one more year, but even Hamilton, you don't know how much longer he's going to be here too. So could it make sense that they get a guy that fits more at the nose than the 3-technique along that front?
So listen, it could make sense, but here's my point. Give me the top 5 nose tackles right now in the NFL and go. Casey, feel free to play along. Give me the top 5 nose tackles in the NFL.
Yeah. I get where you're going. Well, I don't know.
Okay, but just because
they have a position, it's kind of like the best left guard in the league. You don't know his name either because you don't talk about him.
Sure, but the point that I'm trying to make though is that when we talk about the nose technique, how often is he going to be out there? Right, like. With NFL passing teams now, with nickel packages being used and everything, a nose. Don't get it twisted. Off base defense, super important. Going to help you stop the run. And I think the idea would be you get a nose who can actually do a lot and also play at 3-technique, a la like a Jalen Carter in Philly. Now they're not sure if Kenneth Grant will be able to do that. He may be a more traditional nose tackle. I want like a Jalen Carter, where if you got a guy who, obviously takes on double teams, but guess what? If it's going to be a pass as well, big man can move for his size. So,
I got you. No, that's a great explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Great explanation. By the way, they do have Jordan Jefferson, too, who they just drafted last year.
Sure.
We just don't know a lot about him yet, right? Yep. So I'm just curious. Again, my curiosity on Mason Graham, which we're going to get to a little bit later, is just how much is he getting on the field for you, like instant impact? Mm-hmm. Because you really do have to. You're keeping Armstead, it looks like, right?
Correct.
And you have Mason Smith, who I think we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show with Daniel Griffiths' article today. Thought he played pretty well and flashed pretty well when they decided to play him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, carry on, sir.
All right, no problem, man. So next one, listen, I like the guy just based off the name alone, Jack Beck, but it looks like Jack's Beach. Like look at the name.
Well, hey, by the way, without my glasses on, it definitely looks like Jack's Beach.
Yeah.
Now I see Jack Beck.
But that's Jack's Beach all day.
Yeah, it is good though. And a little A there.
And when we're talking about Jack's Beach, comparison is Cedric Tillman. This dude ran. He's 6'1", 214, 34-inch vertical, 10'5" broad, athletic. Don't have the 40-yard dash in front of me. Must have opted not to run it. Wait for his pro day. But this dude spent some time at LSU before transferring to TSU. Competitive inside or outside target who stands out as a box checker in several important columns. Beck can be slowed and pressed and might not have the most separation speed, but he's big, strong receiver with outstanding ball skills. He's got good size, plays with good body control and toughness. Ball skills create a buzzy talking point for scouts. Okay, so guy can catch. He also
4.55 40 is what I found.
4.55. Okay, that's doable. Uses strength to break tackles and roll up additional yardage. Okay, and weaknesses: route departures are delayed by aggressive press coverage. So, kind of the theory on this guy is that he likes to run the routes, but against the physical corner might have some problems. Effort and effectiveness as a run blocker need to improve and needs to adjust and create catch space sooner on jump balls. So. Theoretically, where do you see this guy, Brent? 6'1", 214. I mean, do you...
He's 6'1" or bigger than that. I think he's... 6'1", 6'2". I got 6'2" here. Yeah.
Okay, 6'1", 214 at the combine, it says.
Okay. Well, that would be the right number then.
Yeah.
Not in the game program. What's interesting to me about it, two things. You say, okay, he's going to have trouble with maybe a physical corner. What I would say, the number one corner usually would be that physical corner. He's likely not going to be on him. You're not asking him to be a number one receiver. Heck, you might not even be asking him to be a 2 here in this situation, at least early on. So that shouldn't concern you too much if that's his weakness. The other thing I find interesting is 4-year career, his best year by far was this past season. Like, he really came about. He was 62 catches, 1,000 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Prior to that, he had 12 catches in 23, to 16 catches in 22. He did have 43 for 489 in 2021. So it's a little bit of, it's not a long history of success on the resume. Doesn't mean it can't work, but an interesting pick at number 70 here.
And listen, I'm not sure why this is included in his draft profile, but actually his brother was one of the people that was killed in the terrorist attack in New Orleans. Which is crazy.
Recently?
Yeah, on New Year's Day.
Oh, wow. He's part of, I didn't see that part of that story.
Yeah.
I wonder if like ESPN did. I know they did a couple of big stories.
I remember there was a story
time.
around that, but yeah, his brother, I guess, played at Princeton. So.
Oh, okay. So that's wow. I did not realize they were related.
Yep,
okay,
that's his brother. I had no idea either.
Wow.
Okay. I don't know. Once again, I'm not sure if that should be in the draft profile, but I'm just reading it. Okay.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Yep.
That's something. Does that impact in a draft profile, in your opinion?
That his brother was killed in a terrorist attack?
I mean, just recent. Tragic. This is something you haven't seen him play with. You haven't seen.
Yeah.
You don't know where he is at. Right? Does that? I'm not telling you red flags. I'm not trying to disrespect him in any way. I'm just asking. Everything gets picked apart, right? And so if you're a team and you're looking, and are you wondering? I mean, this is a very recent thing, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't. I mean, people deal with tragedy in a bunch of different ways, is my point, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to suggest anything. I'm just asking, like, I mean, they ask some goofy questions at the Combine when everything's all good.
Back when I was at there, yes, they definitely did.
So I'm just curious if it kind of factors into at least a little bit of a deeper dive, potentially, talking to people around him, close to him, how's he handled this? Because you can go two ways there. You can really be affected, right, and go in the one direction, or you can really be inspired, almost like motivated.
Do it for him.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So you don't know which guy you're getting. That's just human nature. That's not a football player, this guy in particular. That's just, I think, human nature, anybody who deals with tragedy.
Yeah, like, listen, knowing how the Combine operates and how NFL scouts think that they're, therapists and they want to psychoanalyze you and everything, I'm sure the question did come up, and I'm sure the response to that said question was written down by a lot of NFL teams to see where he is at in his headspace and where he's at mentally, right? Because we always talk about, yes, it's a very physical game, but you got to make sure they bring in guys that, mentally they're all good. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully that when we talk about, Jack Beck or Jack Beach, as I'm going to call him now for the rest of the Shock Your Mock season, hopefully that, he's obviously turned it into some sort of motivation and to try to play in honor of his brother. But by the way, his brother's name was Tiger.
Yeah, and everyone has a story now, right?
Correct.
I mean, every NFL player has a story. Some are obviously different than others. All right, let's rock on. We got till 1 o'clock today.
Hey, well, I was gonna. Hey, man, you're asking the hard-hitting questions. I'm trying to bruise through this. All right,
we're gonna get to know a lot of these guys through the mock process. So this is day one. It's a little bit longer.
I know, for sure. Okay, so next pick we got is Ozzie Trapilio from Boston College. Hey, Gigantor wants to fill up the trenches now. All right,
Gigantor is a huge offensive line guy.
Yeah, well,
he hates the offensive line more than any Jags fan.
Well, if you want to talk about huge offensive line, then we're talking about this cat from Boston College, 6'8", 316, 33-inch arms, 10 3/8 inch hands. I'm not gonna lie, you draft this guy and he stands next to Membo, I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah,
because it's like, that's the first. That's the first round pick, and then I see this Gigantor in Ozzie Trapilio. I'm like, okay, do your thing. But anyways, ran a 5.2, so he's a little slower than Membo. 8.10 in the broad jump. Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about? It's offensive lineman here. Real quick, some breakdowns about this guy. NFL comparison: Colin Mikovits. Sounds like a guy that works at the Geek Squad at Best Buy. Or I'm sorry, not Colin Mikovits. Doesn't make it any better. He's a tall tackle prospect with NFL bloodlines and noticeable improvement in play and strength since last season. Run blocking tape falls below the protection tape due to leverage and adjustment limitations we frequently see with taller tacklers. With taller tackles. Trapilio won't generate much movement in the run game, but good upper body power helps him neutralize the edge. Strengths, attention to the B gap makes him hard to beat on twists. Accurate hands and good arm extension keep rusher out on his chest, so he's into the details. He's always accurate with his hands. Once again, it says accurate hands, good positioning, and sturdy base on kick-out blocks. Maybe the guy should look into MMA fighting instead of playing football. Ooh. Uses reach and feel hands more often than a forceful punch. So he's a little more on the finesse side. Needs to play with quicker hands to mitigate average reach. One AFC scout said he had a good season. His anchor was better than we thought it was going to be, but he still needs another 10 or so pounds of mass to hold up against power in our league. Got to build the trunk.
Yeah.
Got to build the chassis.
Just go get some smoothies. 10 pieces, 10 pounds, nothing.
There we go. Next one I
put that on every football season.
Let him know, Brent, you should be hired like as like the
nutritionist,
the trunk builder, the trunk liaison. Zy Alexander.
We need a tree company.
Zy Alexander, pick 107, cornerback out of LSU, 6'1", 187.
Long time to get to corner, maybe, or what do you think?
A little time to get to corner here. I mean, you addressed the wide receiver, but yeah, corner was the one that we also kind of looked at. But hey, where's the edge rush as well, Brent?
Oh, yeah, way down. Well, when you go 3 offensive linemen in the first 4 picks after they remade the offensive line in free agency.
Where's that edge rush? It's with. I mean, we already got Josh Hines down. We have to get Antoine Paulo Ryland as well. We'll get to that later, though. All right, so Zy Alexander, like I said, ran a 4.56. Utilizes size, speed, length, athleticism through all phases of coverage. He's not only disruptive from press, but rarely allows much separation if beaten. He leverages routes with pattern recognition and maintains connection to the route from trail. NFL comparison, Tyson Campbell.
Wow, interesting. I've seen pictures of him. He looks long.
He's got good leverage, uses his arm, uses his length to his advantage, catch space is his default junction point in pursuing routes. Whatever the hell that means. Able to stop running backs headed his way. So this guy plays with kind of a chip on his shoulder too. Do I dare say, even though he's a Tiger, might have a little dog in him. Weaknesses, below average slide to match, cutoff press release. Pick a lane, sticks with face guarding instead of turning to find the football, can lose. This is Tyson Campbell in the beginning. He's gotten better with it now. Can lose coverage concentration with quarterback scrambles. Suffered an ACL tear in 2023, and somewhere Trent Baalke's celebrating at that. Trent, we miss you.
By the way, it's a small town guy who who's unranked as a recruit coming out of high school.
Really? 0 stars?
But a multi-sport star. So he started at like Southeastern Louisiana before he ends up at SEC LSU.
Okay.
Another thing that I find interesting about him, and I think you see this more and more, especially from guys in the secondary. He was like part of a state championship baseball team. He was an outfielder, so he could track really well. Like they actually they put that in some of his draft profile to be able to go track the ball.
I like that,
which I think is an interesting note for guys in the secondary.
Not bad. So he's from a small town, Louisiana?
Yeah, small town, Louisiana.
Accent?
Probably.
Let's bring him on then, man.
I don't know if he's a Raging Cajun or not.
Oh, I hope so. I'd like me a good accent. All right, let's go pick number 126.
Hey, listen, he's from Lauraville, Louisiana. Dude's got an accent.
Okay, can't wait, man. Bring him on the team. All right, pick 126. Should we see this up a little bit, Brent? I feel like we're...
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, Bashul.
We'll have Daniel Kilkenny tomorrow.
No, we're good. I'll get through it. Bashul Tootin?
Sure.
Bashul Tootin?
Bashul Tootin.
Hey, I'm not going to lie, Brent. Like, when it comes to the score breakdowns of production, athleticism score, total score, this guy checks out.
I like the running back in this area of the draft.
I'm not mad at this either, man. So we got, this dude is 5'9", 206, 29.5-inch arms.
5'9", 206?
Yeah.
He's kind of a...
Yeah, but I've never seen 29-inch arms. Like, usually I'm dealing with 30.
How long do you think Maurice Jones-Drew's arms are?
I mean, I don't know, man. I haven't thought about that in a long time. He's got 9-inch hands. All right, this guy ran a 4.32, Brent. He's a speedster. If we had a button that was blazing, I'm sure Lightning McQueen would come up right now and say speed. Something about speed. He's got a 40-inch vertical and a 10-10 broad jump, 4.41 on the 20-yard shuttle. This guy's a freak in nature when it comes to athleticism. NFL comparison, Isaiah Pacheco. If you spend too much time focusing on the small inconsistency of Tootin's college game, you run the risk of overlooking the match he has made for the pro game. He's an explosive athlete with average size but a compact frame, has elite straight line speed with some of those easy hips. Come on, man.
Easy hips.
Be respectful. To make sudden cuts and turns. He's fairly average at reading the front and running with early decisiveness, but creates wiggle, power, and speed. That could be a next dance for a TikTok.
4.32, by the
wiggle,
way.
power, and speed. Yep. He's got track speed and threat to go yard at any snap. Weaknesses, ball security was a little bit of an issue at Virginia Tech. Lacks decisiveness. to feel for lane development. So did Bell in Pittsburgh, but that worked out well for him.
Can he catch?
Would like to see him process and burst more quickly. Doesn't mention the ability to catch.
Huh.
Here we go. Tootin could become a starting caliber back with 3 down value.
Okay.
Doesn't say his hands, but he said he could be a 3 down back.
Okay.
An AFC director of scouting said, "You wish he was a little bit bigger with how physically he runs, but I really like him. He's loosey-goosey."
Oh.
He's loosey-goosey in the open field, and he gives you real big play juice if he gets blocked up. I pray that wasn't a Jacksonville scout. I'm not going to be using the terms loosey-goosey around here. All right, next one. Antoine Powell-Ryland. Because Joshua Hines Allen wasn't enough, Brent. We addressed the edge. Do you like addressing the edge right here? You want to go a little sooner, Brent? Talk to me. You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to find the guy because, there we go.
Yeah, I would think sooner. This is like a 5th round.
Yeah, I'm finding the guy. Okay, here we go. Sorry, the internet's not working, so there we go.
This might be 4th round, actually.
6'3", 258, 31-inch reach, 4'6'9" in the broad, 10'4". I'm sorry, 4'6'9" in the 40, 10'4" in the broad.
Good athlete.
Good athlete. Smart. Everyone's on the hands this year. You remember, every single year, that's the hands. He uses smart hands and has a diversified rush plan to accumulate 25 sacks over the last 2 seasons. So he's got
good production.
So he's got a great portfolio. See his 401k. He lacks length and speed, but creates pressures by remaining varied and unpredictable. He's a wild card. He uses accurate, violent hands to eliminate the punch and kickstart his bull rush. Only downsides is below average get off and sudden in the rush, unable to flip his hips past the blocker at the top of the arc, average closing burst to finish it off, lacks standard size and length in the edge, will struggle to stand ground if tested in strength. If you're looking
for that get off though, right? The lack of get off. You're a big get off guy.
I mean, get off is where you make your money, Brent. Yeah. It's got everything.
But if that's like your weakness, it's like
Yeah,
I don't love the fact that we're going back-to-back Virginia Tech guys because, they went 6 and 7.
Enter Sandman? Yep.
I know that shouldn't matter.
It does matter, though, right? A little bit?
Hey, tight end from Iowa, though, coming up.
Luke Lachey? Is it Luke Lackey or Luke Lachey?
We'll have to get Lachey.
Luke Lachey. Ooh, sounds
like someone from a Backstreet Boys or something?
That'd be Nick Lachey. Maybe he's related to him. Probably not, because this dude is 6'6", 251, 32 and 1/8 inch arms. 40-yard dash was not available on this website. Brent, not sure you can look it up real quick. Vertical jump was 35 inches. Broad jump was 10. So he's an athlete. 4.47 in the 20-yard shuttle. Not sure how fast he ran on the 40. He's a combination tight end capable of lining up as an inline or like fullback or move to the tight end spot. While Lachey can do both, he lacks the core strength and consistency to be typical Y tight end and has average quickness to escape man coverage on the next level. He has experience operating underneath with an intermediate target and using proper leverage in his routes and a good body control along with strong hands. So there you go, man.
So this is kind of a guy that would fit what they want to do, right? Because you block and catch a little bit.
Yep.
So you get that disguise. And he's from Iowa. Usually can't go wrong with an Iowa tight end.
I'm not going to lie, man. The fact that he's from Iowa, I don't have to read anything about it. Oh, he's an Iowa tight end? Yeah, go and bring him on the team, man.
Yeah, you'll get some value out of it. Gus Hartwig. Finally get a center. It took this long to get a center?
Yeah, that's fine, man. He's out of Purdue. I'm not going to lie, there's not... So he wasn't on the NFL combine sheet, which I'm not sure if he went to the combine or not.
Has one of those guys?
Has solid height and weight and pass protection. He's below average in pass protection. Gets beat on finesse moves and doesn't have the ideal speed of a center. So this is off Draft Diamonds, by the way. Has solid power and pass pro, but doesn't get over. Man, forget this website. Because they rank on him, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, but he's got solid pass pro, doesn't get overpowered often. Most of the times needs help, though, with nearby offensive guards. Excels in double-team blocks. Hand placement is below average. Grabs at pass rushers' outside shoulders. Good lead blocker, but an average run blocker at that. Can pancake smaller defenders. Well, this is the NFL. So scheme fit, more of an offensive. Okay, scheme fit is a center, possibly guard, but mostly center. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Jags are going to take a center at some point.
Yeah.
And so he goes back-to-back with centers here with Gus and Drew.
And then Drew Kendall, 6'4", out of Boston College, 308 pounds, ran a 5.5, call it a 5 flat. It's the last pick of the draft, Brent. So what do you want me to say?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, cool.
I want you to move on.
Let's go. Real quick.
Daniel Kilkenny.
This is Daniel Kilkenny
on the bottom.
Should we take a break or should we just keep on going?
Yeah, we can keep going.
All right,
you need a break?
No, I'm fine.
You want to play the song again?
I kind of want to play the song again, but we're all good. Mason Graham.
This is like halftime intermission.
No, it's all good, man. We'll finish through. I'm going to power through. All right. Mason Graham, obviously a guy that's going to be in a lot of mock drafts. I feel like probably my favorite dude for the Jaguars to pick. NFL comparison is Christian Wilkins. 6'3.5", 296, 32-inch arms. Don't have any of the combine numbers. I don't think he really ran the combine, but when you're the best defensive tackle in the draft, you don't got to do anything. 3 technique, he provides activity, effort, strength, and quickness. Listen, I can sit here and break down what all these experts, quote unquote, have to say, like Glant Zerline. Long story short, this dude's got the get off. This dude's got hand balance. This dude plays with a reckless abandonment, and this dude plays with an attitude. Okay? You're not going to see him on blocks for that long because he takes it as a personal offense when an offensive tackle tries to put their hands on him. Any more questions?
Yeah, I think, no. I think everybody likes Mason Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think this thing, you don't hear a lot that, like you get that undersized stuff. Somebody said like 290 or 294 or whatever. That doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this. I feel like it feels like he's a can't miss guy.
Mm-hmm.
From what people say about the tape, you seem to like him a lot too.
I do.
What's crazy about this mock draft is,
hey,
what if they get both of them?
We're going Eagles South, right? Like the Eagles draft a bunch of Georgia dogs, won a national championship, and we're drafting some Michigan Wolverines that Ohio State. So say what you want about that.
And obviously, Balky didn't like Harbaugh, so he would never take a Michigan guy.
This is a good point as well.
So we really flipped this on its head.
I mean, technically, if you beat the national champions, are you national champions?
No.
Are you sure? This could be Eagles South all day. I like this. So Kenneth Grant, we just talked about him, 6'4", 331, 33.5-inch arms. This guy is a road grader. He's a road blocker. He's a distinct nose tackle, if you will. You pair that with Mason Graham, I'm not mad at it, Brent.
My only question about all this, again, I'll bring it back. Are you giving up on Jordan Jefferson and, not giving up on Mason Smith, right? I mean, you have guys that you just picked, and I understand it's a new regime and you might not like them. I'm just telling you, I don't know enough. I don't know enough about Jordan Jefferson and really Mason Smith yet to know how I feel about them. That could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Brent, all I'm saying is that sometimes you look at the Eagles, they had depth at defensive line, but what do? They went after. They kept on getting them. They kept on bringing them in. Now look how it's worked out well for them. That's what happens when we go after national champions, or you go after teams that beat national champions, like the Jaguars do here in Kilkenny's draft. Mason Taylor, pick number 70, third round, right?
That would be third round.
Yep, third round, tight end out of LSU, 6'5", 251, 32-inch arms, ranked fourth overall in terms of athleticism mixed with production in the score. I don't have the combine numbers. He may not have ran, but NFL comparison, I like this. Dallas Goedert. Wouldn't mind having him on the team.
I don't mind a third-round tight end. Like, I think that could be a neat. We're going to talk positions here over the next couple of weeks in this 11 o'clock Shock Your Mocker. And, that's going to be a position that you could throw up there. Edge rush, center, tight end.
Ascending tight end with plus catch talent and Hall of Fame bloodlines. It's not Jason Taylor's son, so I don't know. With 3 seasons under Taylor's belt, more growth expected in both his game and his frame. Nice. Wordsmiths here on NFL.com. He's a smooth athlete with adequate acceleration, the tools to become even more effective.
Yeah, Mason Taylor is Jason Taylor's son.
You got him on an autograph?
Yes, actually.
Very good. Nice. By the way, his uncle Zach Thomas.
Okay. I'm looking at Mason Taylor. He doesn't look like Jason Taylor to me. Look up Mason Taylor. Look at the picture. I never would have made that connotation.
Actually, I remember this from the games, actually, now that you said. I remember watching games and them bringing up Jason Taylor.
Casey, feel free to interject.
Does he look like Jason Taylor's son?
He's not bald.
Okay, well, yeah, I think, all right.
But take no hair on that guy. Like, I could see it.
I guess he's got the chin maybe, right?
Here's what I can tell you. When he was walking towards me in the hotel when I got him, I was like, oh, that's definitely Mason Taylor because it looks like Jason Taylor.
Really?
Oh,
okay, maybe it's just a bad picture.
Just this picture.
I mean, it's a bad picture of him. Okay, but
So, very natural mover with above average athleticism, capable of running an expanding route tree, enough juice to run the seam and stack the linebackers, great body control with late adjustments on move blocks, one-speed route runner who lacks attention to detail. This is the weaknesses. Makes it too easy to read and jump. Whatever, man. I don't care. He's a tight end.
I feel like he made an incredible highlight or something like that in one of the games I was watching this year.
Now, he does need to require a little better technique in his commitment as a blocker. You're a tight end, man. Go catch balls. I understand. I know. And Liam Cohen's offense got a block and everything. But let's get a playmaker here, Brent. Let's get a playmaker here.
They did just release a guy that caught 114.
I'm aware. But I mean, and I'm sure Trevor's like, hey, yeah, make sure you're a good run blocker. But you think Trevor's like, hey, can you go out there and catch some balls too and let them hit you in the hands and squeeze them?
By the way, Mason Taylor caught the 2-point conversion to beat Alabama. That was where
okay.
That was a huge one. That was a couple of years ago. Okay. Now, but I just remember making a huge play. I think that was the one I was referencing.
So now we're going back-to-back Ohio State guys, which, listen, I like the pick so far, but now we're going to have a civil war in the locker room.
Well, wait till you see this. You got Jack Sawyer and Mason Graham meeting at midfield.
This is what I'm saying, man. Like, listen, I like the players and everything, but now with a first-year coach, can Liam Cohen bring all these guys in? I'm not sure. We got Lathan Ransom, which sounds like a really cool villain from a comic book or something like that. Safety. Yes, he's a safety, Brent. 6 feet, 206.
Had to check that.
Ransom is an experienced starter and natural strong safety with adequate size, all-day toughness, and proactive approach at the position. Plays with good eye balance and instincts. Cleans up yard against pass catchers coming over the middle. Strikes climbing blocks and ball carriers with the same force. Uses a peanut punch. Shout out to my former teammate, Charles Tillman, to jar the bar loose and ball carries. Listen, if you're using a peanut punch, I like you, man. Weaknesses: could struggle with vertical receivers when isolated at high safety. Face guards downfield instead of locating the ball. We do that a lot here, it seems like sometimes. Needs to come to balance quicker as an open field tackler. Next one we got is Jack Sawyer. Is he more of an edge or is he going to be a linebacker?
He felt like more linebacker in college, but I've got him listed as an edge.
Yeah.
His NFL profile.
Definitely going to be a fun show next year if we draft all these guys because there's going to be so many fights in that locker room, Brent. I can't wait to go to the wall that says it all. Jack Sawyer, if you followed anything about the Michigan State-Ohio State game, you know this guy. He was the guy that took the flag and ripped it up and then, all that good stuff.
Former high school quarterback, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Fun fact, 6'4", 260, 31 3/4-inch arms. I guess the Ohio State guys opted not to run at all at the combine because he didn't run either at the combine. He's dense framed, right? Almost like he's got like the density of like an almond or a walnut. You know how it's a very nutrient dense food. I read about it yesterday because I was gaining a little weight and I'm like, why am I gaining so much weight? I'm not eating anything. Almonds and walnuts can make you gain weight. So he's a dense framed individual, even front defenses whose game is built for the power but not speed. Yeah, I'm like 255 right now. It's not a big deal. He has short arms and slow power to neutralize and overcome run blocks. However, he lacks quick win, first step, and twitchy stack and shed moves. So I guess this is going to be your edge, like your depth guy at edge. Posted 4.5 sacks and 6 pass breakups during Ohio State's 4-game playoff run when it mattered the most. Awesome. Weaknesses: gaps closed down on him as a mid-twitch penetrator. Interesting. Needs to get hands involved more quickly to mitigate. What is up with the hands this year? Missing functional speed to spill action wide and contain. People going hands this year, Brent. Hands are really big this year.
Listen, the thing I like about Sawyer, first of all, like Ohio State football guys usually can translate to the NFL pretty well.
Yep.
And I think Sawyer feels like just a football player to me, where he's going to produce. He also, because he was playing quarterback, he's kind of like he's somewhat new still. Well, he went 4 years, I think, in college. He's not new. But you wonder where his ascent is. How much growth he still has at the next level. Because he got better and better as he went along in college at Ohio State.
And he seems like, seems kind of like a blue-collar individual. Yeah. Probably a guy that you want part building the culture. Just not sure if you want him here with Mason Graham and Kenneth Graham.
That's true. But I do think he'd be a fascinating name as a depth edge. Yeah. Like, he really would be interesting to see and someone that could grow kind of at his own pace. I don't know if we've seen the best football, I guess is my point,
for sure,
on a guy like him.
Which, that's intriguing, especially at pick 107.
Yeah.
You know what, Brent? You're actually making some solid points. Now, once again, Ohio State, Michigan, can they get along? We'll break that down later. Anthony Belton. Offensive tackle out of NC State, 6'6", 336 pounds, 33 7/8 inch arms, 10 1/4 hands. This would be a Trent Bulky blue light special. We're not sure what kind of guys Gladstone likes yet, so time will tell. But hey, the way Gladstone came from, maybe these are the guys he's going to be picking that'll make all the difference in the world, right? So when we talk about this dude right here in Belton, Brent ran a 4.2. I'm sorry. Ran a 5.26, 29-inch vertical, 8.11 broad jump, 7.7 in the 3 cone. Enormous tackle with good power and long arms. He can bulldoze the roads clean for running backs, but needs to play with better hand placement to sustain with an early lead. Belton has the length to shove rushers up and around the pocket, but his punch and timing is inconsistent, and he lacks the body control to respond to inside counters. Strengths, wide frame. Slow rushers progress at the edge. Upper body power to rock rushers off track with his punch. Display ability to sink pad level and drop a late anchor. There you go, Brent. Weaknesses, unable to gather quickly when he oversteps his blocks. Second level targets are able to elude his blocks in space, and he's inconsistent with his hand placement because hand placement seems to be the key this year in these draft breakdowns.
All right, so a little line. Not as heavy on the offensive line, by the way, from Daniel Kilkenny. Obviously, it was very heavy on the offensive line from Gigantor and Jags.
Yes. Antoine Powell-Ryland, we broke him down just recently, edge out of Virginia Tech. He sounds intriguing. My only qualm with him is, Antoine Powell-Ryland, Joshua Hines Allen, whole lot of hyphens going on. A lot of hyphens going on there. Next pick, 182, Kitten Crawford. Kitten Crawford out of Nevada, everybody. 5'11", 202, 31-inch arms, 9.5-inch arms. Row for Kitten Crawford. Hey, but by the way, give him a double row because he was second in athleticism score at the combine this year. Dude ran a 4.41 row, 10.8 broad jump, 41.5-inch vertical. This dude's a freak of nature, and also bench pressed 18 times. Wow. 18 reps, which is impressive for his size. Fifth-year senior, made his way to Nevada for his final season after 4 years at Texas. Crawford lacks height and arm length, but he's a compact and very explosive, much like a cat. His testing and at the combine showed off his long speed. Needs to play with better timing and more consistency. Plays with athletic feet, smooth hips underneath. Hammers through pass catchers' arms to eliminate catches. His weaknesses, average burst out of his stance. Well, I don't think so if the guy ran a 4.4. Needs to prioritize wrap unders, collision as tackler. Started in just 4 of 46 games during his 4 seasons at Texas.
Yeah. Another safety. Adds to the safety
Crawford,
room,
I like it, man. Yep.
Which, could be a remake of the safety room. So a couple of safeties in this draft. I'm not sure I'm hating it.
Yep. And speaking of hating it, Trevor Lawrence is really hating this draft until we drafted Theo Weiss Jr. At pick 194. Finally, Trevor got some help. Well, I guess he got help with Mason Taylor as well, but he's getting a wide receiver now. 4.56. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, 32 1/8-inch arms. Real quick.
4.56 40.
4.56 40.
What I found, yeah.
Yeah. Capable of beating coverage, leverage with route work, strength to maintain landing space on deep throws to sideline, catches the point of the football with focused hands. Weaknesses, his speed and explosiveness are just average. Gives away incoming breaks by popping upright. What is he, whack-a-mole? Needs more believable drive phase for comeback routes, lacks suddenness in and out of breaks underneath.
Interesting thing about him is he's played a lot of football. He's like a 5-year guy, I think it is, or 5 years, 59 games, 2,500 snaps. A lot of football. So he got a lot of experience if you like that. And we're going to see a little bit more of that. Seems like you just mentioned the safety, Kiten Crawford, same way. He had played a lot of football at Nevada.
Last but not least, Jacob Gideon is going to be, projected as a developmental rotational center, 6'2", 295, out of Western Michigan. Has logged over 2,300 snaps at center in the last 3 seasons. Yeah, he's experienced, obviously. He's got versatility, played both guard and center. He's a true mauler in the trenches, Brent. He thrives in the run game, using his raw strength to overpower defenders and create running lanes. Hands are like vice grips in the run game, locking on defenders and driving them backward. Areas that he has to improve. I like how this website, by the way, it's College Football Network, instead of saying weaknesses, areas he can improve on.
Areas he can improve. Everybody gets a trophy.
Here's a little criticism.
Why don't we just go with he sucks at this?
Gideon tends to stand too upright out of his stance, which limits his ability to generate leverage, lowering his pad level and attacking with more force underneath defenders. Pads would help him create better blocking angles. Hey, we get how it works. He sometimes has the tenacity to attack defenders' shoulders rather than their chests. There you go.
There you go. So what do you think overall? I mean, we go heavy offensive line.
yeah.
You don't get a weapon for Trevor until late for Kilkenny. You beef up the defensive front for Kilkenny. Which way would you rather beef up? The offensive line, the defensive line early on?
And keep in mind, you're helping, I feel like, Trevor Lawrence a little bit more, taking a wide receiver more than a tight end. You think or not?
I would say at this stage right now, what they need is more wide receiver. I feel like they've got a hole at wide receiver to fill.
Even though Mason Taylor could be probably the best pass catcher out of any of these guys in this whole exercise here. Listen, it's not up to us, right? We're going to put it on Twitter, and people are going to comment on which you think is the better draft. But if I was voting, I honestly, with all due respect to Gigantor, I appreciate you showing love for the big nasties and everything. And I get this could be an HR nightmare with a bunch of Michigan and Ohio State guys in that building. But I'm going to go with Kilkenny just because I like what he did there in the trenches on defense. I mean, it was definitely a draft need. I like Mason Taylor. Could be definitely intriguing. You short up the edge a little bit. He did a lot of great things. The only caveat is didn't take a wide receiver early on. So, Trevor, what you got is what you got. Hopefully it's enough, but I do like the bottom one better here, Brent.
You know, it's fascinating to look at these two because you say, what would you do for Trevor? Well, Gigantor and Jax does the most for Trevor. Gets him a receiver and builds up the offensive line for years and years and years to come. But the immediate need doesn't feel that way at offensive line. They just spent a lot of free agency rebuilding it. So, I mean, you go get 3 offensive linemen in the first 4 picks, like where are they playing?
Yeah.
And when are they playing? Mm-hmm. And who's making it? Who's cutting it? Where are you going with that? I mean, you only keep 9 offensive linemen? So what are they going to do with all these newcomers and dollars that they just spent with what they already have in Ezra Cleveland, Anton Harrison, and Walker Little? Also investments in dollars and draft capital and everything else. So, I mean, I just think it's a little bit too much. I said 3 in the first 4 picks. That's not true, but 2 in the first 4 picks for offensive linemen for Gigantor and Jax. But again, you're doing right by Trevor Lawrence, receiver and offensive lineman, and interior defensive help too. So the big fellas are helping out.
And especially, with all due respect, I just want Kitten Crawford on the team as well. So
that slides.
I'm biased though.
That slides it that way.
Yeah. So are you taking the top or taking the bottom, Brent?
I'm not going to influence the vote.
Good.
Do you want me to?
I mean, I don't think it matters, man. I think Twitter's going to vote for who Twitter wants to vote for.
I think given man, I don't love the fact that there's no receiver or offensive help until
I'm with you, man.
180.
And it's funny.
194.
We're going to be sitting here with this draft on the bottom and be like, you got no one to throw it to, yeah.
I mean, again, you know what? I'll say I'm more intrigued with Kilkenny's as well. Because I actually think the Sawyer pick could be a fascinating one for them. Mm-hmm. And you do at least address it with tight ends. So you build up that side, and I think you're getting some good value. Both of the guys get Grant in the second round. I wonder why that's happening on these mock drafts, and we'll see that a bunch with Kenneth Grant, a name that we've seen all over the first round mocked.
Yeah.
Get into the second round. And again, you never know how this stuff shakes out in a simulated mock draft, but we're seeing that a bunch.
And listen, check out the comments here. Yes, if you haven't submitted your mock drafts, there was a deadline, but if you're cool, which I assume you're cool if you're in the stream, I'm willing to make an exception. So go ahead and send your mock drafts to where, Brent?
Sports@actionnewsjacks.com.
Sports@actionnewsjacks.com.
But if you also reply to our tweets and I see them, hopefully I see them, we'll bookmark them.
Yeah.
And so we'll be able to get it that way too. So we will definitely find it. Bottom line is it's not too late. Now, we're going to put them in order as they come too.
Yep.
And this goes over a few weeks. Probably not that long because we're going to.
Yeah, that was an hour, Brent.
That was a long time.
That was an hour, man.
I mean, I now have to push back several interviews over the next week or so that we've planned for 11:30. Hey, Duval Daily on the way. Let's take a time out.
I get to talk more. Can't wait.
We'll maybe slide that a little bit.
I got it.
Daniel Griffiths writes about Mason Smith. So all this talk about defensive front, how does Mason Smith factor in? And still more to come, including a little bit more on the Alex Lodise festivities and free throws or penalty shots. We'll tell you where we're going with that. Still to come. We've got an hour left here on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. The crowd's for the tape. I got it. Iconic. I'm built to win. Back to back, I do it again. I'm iconic. I'm one of a kind. I'm iconic. I'm built to win. I'm one of a kind.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years, and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, don't forget we have our partnership with JaxPal, and you can too. Jacksonville Police Athletic League. Go to jaxpal.org and make sure you see how you can help or just participate. Maybe you have a kid, part of an after-school program, part of a sport, all the different things the Jacksonville Police Athletic League does. You could also contribute, help out, donate. So make sure you go to jaxpal.org. Brent Martineau along with Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz. We've got one down in Shock Your Mock season. You're exhausted.
Oh, yeah, man.
That was a lot of reading.
Yeah.
You almost like read a book.
Yeah.
The introduction to these new guys.
Yeah, I mean, once I got time to prep a little bit, kind of make some key points, it'll be a lot quicker, but I'm just happy I survived and everything. But hey, man, the journey's not over yet, Brent. I still have to do the Duval Daily. So you want to do that at noon quick?
You want to do it right now? You got something in you? You need a little help?
I mean, I would love to have my smoothie here, but I'm going to have my smoothie during the next break. But yeah, man, I think I'm in. I think I'm ready to roll.
You good?
I mean, I don't know. If I just black out or pass out during the Duval Daily, just take over for me. But we'll see. Or Casey can fill my spot. I don't know.
Yeah, he can. He's jack of all trades.
Let's go. Casey, you got those buttons ready? Let's go.
Hey!
Let's get it then. Let's go. I'm back.
He can find stuff over there.
I'm awake. Here we go again.
Little place called with Brent Austen.
Breathwork.
Zen.
Breathwork. Hey, Brent, what day is it?
Wednesday.
What else day is it? We started the show with this. It's a callback to the start of the show, Brent. That's correct, Brent. It's hump day. It's hump day, everybody. And we got paddleboarding news. Yeah, paddleboarding's a sport. Like, if you're to call competitive eating a sport and, like, disc golf a sport, paddleboarding is also a sport. And we got a humpback whale alert going out the Jacksonville Pier last night. Hey, Brent, you want to hear some humpback fun facts about the humpback whale?
I do.
I'm glad you asked because you had no choice. They hunt using bubbles. So, like, they were once on the brink of extinction, and they can eat 3,000 pounds of food a day. No word there's more than one humpback whale right now by the Jacksonville Pier, but one has been recorded on video and confirmed and shared by Action News Jax. I got you. I got you. They usually hunt in pods, or they usually travel in pods, so there might be some more humpback whales out there. Keep a lookout. And shout out to Pinocchio, because he's part of the movie from Pinocchio. It was a humpback whale.
Oh, really?
And that's all I got to say about the Duval Daily today.
So you found that at actionnewsjax.com, by the way.
That was on Action News. That was in sports. It's paddleboarding. Actionnewsjax.com, everybody. Go check it out. It's a really cool video.
It is a cool video. That paddleboarder part of it was like right, I mean, what do you say, about 10, 15 feet?
Hey, I would have been a little frightened.
You would, right?
Yeah, man.
I think because overall whale's pretty friendly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a shark. Different.
No. Yeah,
but it's also not a dolphin.
I mean, if I see anything big, set aside from, like, I'm not afraid of dolphins, right? Like, I feel dolphins
I don't
are friendly.
think anybody is.
And maybe humpback whales are friendly, but if I saw that thing in the ocean, yeah, man, I'm taking a fighting stance and I'm fighting for mine.
You're not winning.
I know that, Brent, obviously, but if you see one of my tattoos, it says swing till you die. So guess what I'm going to do?
Swing till you die.
Okay, then.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, though. I don't know how often that happens.
I've never heard of a humpback whale in the Jax Beach Pier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Whales, I don't feel like I hear about whales down here. Like, we used to go on whale watches at home.
Yeah,
That's a good area for whales up in New England.
Sure.
Right? Mm-hmm. But I don't. Maybe that's more common than I know. I just haven't really seen it. So that was pretty cool. Great video. And paddleboarding is awesome. I don't do it enough.
I've never done it. Are you surprised I've never paddleboarded?
Yeah, I am.
I'm good. Nah.
I know the surfing escapade didn't go well.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, like, that's where I'm going with it. Like, if I'm going to be on a board, I'm going to, like, do something on it. I'm not just going to stand there.
Know, like, I feel like this could be part of your regiment.
You're out of your mind.
No, seriously. Like, it's good core work.
How long we work together? You don't know me, huh?
Yeah, I
you think I can be paddleboarding?
Listen, anybody who knows Austin, and you see, if you know paddleboarding at all, I could just see Austin in a Zen mode.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Working the core, being one with nature.
Okay.
Getting a little me time.
All right,
like,
so
on the paddleboard, like I absolutely could see you doing this.
So enlighten me. Like paddleboarding is one where you just like you stand on it and you're paddling, right?
Yeah, I mean,
do you do like yoga on it or stuff or
no? But it's certainly a core workout to stay on
just
the
to
board,
paddle,
especially if you're in the ocean. But like where that video came from.
Yeah,
I've never done it in the ocean because I don't know if I could do it in the ocean.
That was
but,
the next
you
point.
go like the inlet, like go to like Matanzas Inlet or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that
gators. Heck yeah, Brent. Even better, gators because they're not aggressive at all.
You like
really
paddleboarding
in a pool, maybe. I'll go to the YMCA and do it. Sure. I'm not going to go in an inlet with gators or in an ocean with sharks and company.
I didn't know it was the sharks that bothered you so much.
Oh, Brett, we've been over this, man. I don't like. I mean, when I went surfing, I had to because my son wanted to, but the ocean makes me nervous now. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's whales out there too, apparently.
I know, man. And dolphins. We always see dolphins like where we live. We see dolphins all the time playing.
It's a wild arc.
Mm-hmm.
Sharks scare the hell out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the thought of them, not even the sight of them, the thought of them.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins, you can't wait to see.
Of course.
Like you want to see.
And then you got just whales just coming
And then
through.
whales are in the middle like.
And they're all getting along,
I don't
right?
know how I feel about it.
Like the sharks aren't eating the dolphins.
I think they all get along.
Whales
now,
are...
I saw like, do you see that video? This might have been an old video, but I've seen it floating around on Twitter more recently.
Okay.
Where a killer whale like just blasted a shark.
Well, good.
I mean, like, it was wild.
Got to earn the moniker killer whale.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to call you a killer whale if you're not.
It was
orca.
insane. I don't know. Again, this might be like a 10-year-old video, and I just, how stuff pops up sometimes.
But a killer whale took out a shark?
But it was like, so the killer, it was all this like National Geographic thing, what it felt like, but I saw like let's call it a hammerhead shark for lack of shark knowledge. And
it's a really specific shark.
It was a pretty good sized shark. And the killer whale, I mean, they go fast.
Yeah.
So like totally just boom,
Took
right
it
into
out.
the ribs.
Dang.
Like, so it starts from way wherever.
Yeah.
Million miles an hour.
Yeah.
It looks like, and just hammers the ribs of the shark.
Okay, but are we talking about like he hammered him like he bit into it? Or like Bob Sanders lower his head and guess what?
No, like
I'll see you in the hole.
Form tackle.
Bob Sanders style.
Yes.
Okay.
So form tackle.
Okay.
Boom. So then, not sure
Yeah.
about the plight of the shark, circles around the shark several times to make sure it's damaged.
I like this.
And then
took it out.
Then takes it out and
wow.
I think eats it and everything. Swallows it whole.
Yeah.
Like whatever that does.
Yeah. That's hardcore. That's cool though.
It's amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I did not know. Like I saw it recently, and I was just like, "Wow, that is unbelievable."
Yeah. See, I'm not
That's
going
nature.
I'm not going paddleboarding in nature. I'll see you at the pool, everybody.
I don't think we have killer whales off the coast.
Hey, I didn't know we had a humpback whale.
Yeah.
Do you really want to make that call right now?
Yeah.
Because we had a humpback whale.
Well, you know a guy finding all sorts of species underneath the water. So.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. And then, I mean,
like that's like his job.
Yeah,
right?
like one of my best friends, the guy that I live with, he's an offshore scientist for Google and other companies and everything. So it's his job to go in submarines and set up submarines and go on explorations for crazy animals. And he's found some crazy animals along with crazy other stuff, but can't really get into that right now.
Yeah, don't.
I won't.
I listen. I left that wide open for you. You didn't have to take it that far.
It's all good. Hey, I took it to the limit. And then I back off.
You back off.
Yeah.
You can tell me in a commercial break.
I got you.
Intrigued.
Yes.
Intriguing is actionsportsjacks.com. You can go to actionnewsjacks.com for the humpback whale story. You can go to actionsportsjacks.com for the Daniel Griffith story. And it's our That One Painter First Coast paint the player today. And that player is Mason Smith. Ironically, we're talking a lot about the Mason Grahams of the world. We mentioned Jordan Jefferson and Devon Hamilton. We mentioned Eric Armstead. I'm just fascinated by where all this fits together as you have a new regime change. And Mason Smith, I think, when I say Mason Smith, do you think, hey, this guy might get me excited based off some of the things of last year? Or are you like, bulky pick them ain't going to work out? Like, where do you feel? Where are you on the spectrum of that?
It's wild, right? Because obviously the season gave a lot of people a headache. But I think Mason Smith towards the end of the year showed something a little bit. So I think like when I look back at Mason Smith, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a bulky pick. The defense was horrible last year. And those are both true statements. But I think he did show a little something towards the end of the season where it's like, you know what, going forward, he may not be a starter right away, but he's going to offer some depth, and they'll definitely be a rotational kind of guy.
Yeah, Daniel Griffiths writes about it here and says his rank amongst interior defensive linemen, to your point, right, on the second or the final third of the season. This is weeks 13 through 18 only. 11 pressures, which was tied for 32nd amongst defensive linemen. I don't think it's anything to scream about. But on rookies, it's second. He had 2 sacks in that stretch, tied for 14th amongst interior defensive linemen. For rookies, tied for second. And 248 snaps, 21st, which means you really got some action. And rookies was third. So there was a lot more to tell. It was basically like a 6-game sample for Mason Smith in his rookie year because he didn't play. Like, it was that whole mystery. Now, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, like did he make weight in certain areas, like or was it a coaching decision? Like, where was that whole Mason Smith thing for the first half of the year? But he really just didn't get a lot of reps, and as a second-round pick, didn't get a chance to see what he was trying to do. Marry that on top of the fact that Eric Armstead was outside and not really inside. It was really peculiar as the Jaguars had options to make their defensive interior better and didn't seem to utilize them.
Yeah.
Didn't even try. So it was really a weird deal when it comes to Mason Smith last season. But it leaves us with a little bit of a taste, like that could be a good tease of him having a bigger role this year and maybe a good player. He's a giant man now.
Yeah.
He's a big dude.
And this we have to keep in mind with Gladstone what they're thinking, right? Because we know what we saw last year, but how much of that was coupled by a Ryan Nielsen defense, a Ryan Nielsen scheme?
Yeah.
And who's to say, this new regime that comes in now is like, hey, Mason Smith could be our guy going forward. So then you have to ask yourself, well, is that going to affect the draft? Or it's like, you know what, let's go with wide receiver because I get on paper, stat-wise, the defense wasn't good last year. But are there some pieces that weren't used to their best capabilities because of the scheme and coaching?
Yeah, that's my biggest question, man. I kind of repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. I just say, like, you have actual bodies there that are a little bit unknown at what they could deliver to you, but there's upside to them. There's this sample on Smith. There's a career sample of Armstead. Where, like, this year, and take 2025 only, when you think about a Mason Graham or something, you're like, okay, is he better than these two guys? Like, that's what I would ask, that you already have. Coach Rip says the pure chance that Smith and Armstead and Hamilton are healthy and able to contribute with a Grant or someone else, I'm assuming maybe like a Mason Graham, could be a very fun defense. Yeah, that's if Armstead and Smith kind of live up to where we think they can be. And I think that's just the ultimate question. You just asked it about Gladstone and Campanile and Cohen and Baselli. And, like, when they look at this team, how do they feel about that guy? I've got a feeling they feel pretty good about Armstead being able to contribute. Now, it's hard to cut like the Walter Payton Man of the Year, especially when the owner comes out and says everything he said about him too. Like, that wasn't probably going to happen. But they did release 2 veterans that performed. They didn't release Armstead or try to move on from him. It could have been a move, and they didn't. So they must believe that he can help, is the point, on that inside. And then Smith, to me, becomes a huge X factor here, especially if you're looking at Mason Graham in the draft. I believe that's why, to me, Travis Hunter makes a lot more sense, because I'm going to buy the fact that Armstead and Smith can help you in that role in 2025 more than they did in 2024, more than anybody did in 2024. And if you do that, then I think a guy like Travis Hunter, a receiver, is going to impact your football team more in 2025. Doesn't play the long game there, but it does at least in the short game. So we'll see what they think about it. You can see what Daniel Griffiths thinks about it in our Paint the Player. Make sure you check out thatonepainter.com/first-coast for all your painting needs this spring. Easy word for me to say. Your painting needs this spring. It's a great time to get your painting done. You're outdoors right now. The weather just about perfect here in Jacksonville. So check out thatonepainter.com/first-coast for more on Mason Graham. Check out Daniel Griffiths at ActionSportsJax.com. You brought this up the other day because I think you showed us a penalty shot in hockey, and I was thinking of this in free throw, and you said it too. Did you throw something else in there? Penalty kick, free throw, And I think you mean like in a clutch moment, right? Like down the stretch.
Yep. So
which one's more difficult to do?
Yeah, so the inspiration came from over the weekend. The Wisconsin Badgers played the Ohio State Buckeyes. This is women's hockey in the championship, in the Frozen Four. And Wisconsin was down by 1 goal with like 12 seconds left. Girl gets tripped, becomes a penalty shot. And so basically she makes it. They go to overtime. She misses it. Season's over. She makes it. Wisconsin wins the game in overtime. And by the way, what she did, and once we don't have the video, I don't think, because whatever. But the video is incredible because the poise and confidence that she showed. It was like one of the coolest penalty shots that you're ever going to see. So like she didn't succumb to the pressure, didn't fold in the moment, actually rose to the occasion. So then it kind of got me thinking a little bit of like, man, she had to feel some pressure in that situation. What would be the most pressure? Like, what could you not do? Is it the penalty shot? Obviously, you have to be able to escape, but is it the penalty shot in hockey? Is it like a free kick or like a penalty kick in soccer? Or is it a free throw to try to will your team to a tournament win? Because we saw that, I think that was last night as well, right?
Well, Sarah Ashley
Yeah, that was a couple nights
Barker,
ago. Yes.
right, from Alabama, had 45 points. Part of that 45, because it's funny, I had seen your email. We didn't talk about it like on Monday.
Yeah.
And then she did this, I think, on Monday night.
Yeah.
And that epic
Did you hear
game.
that email, by the way, Brent? I'm emailing now.
Now you responded to an email and actually threw like stuff in there and links to video. And I mean, you know how to do it. You're making songs. Like it's pretty incredible. But anyway, she had 45 that night.
Yeah.
Part of it was to send the game either overtime or double overtime. I can't remember which one. She got fouled from 3-point land. So there was 0.7 seconds left on the clock, and she's got to hit all three, obviously, or they lose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I when I watch that highlight, I'm like, man, that is so hard to do. It's got to be so hard to do. And so it does add up to your point. Now, I feel like the most pressure you have on you in those three examples you gave, free soccer, penalty kick, hockey, penalty shot, free throw, I feel is soccer.
Okay.
Because I think it's the easiest.
So you think that the most pressure is in soccer?
Because it's like embarrassing almost if you don't get a soccer penalty kick.
Sure.
You know, I mean, listen, they do get denied. Absolutely, if you guess right. But that is a huge net and one person to stop it, and you've got like 8 different things on the table you can do. You can go left, right, you can go high, low, you can,
But I would almost want that because it is so easy. Like I understand there's maybe the most pressure because you're supposed to make it, but at the same time, like, I'll take the pressure because I'm looking at a wide open net. Like, I don't know, because you can make a lot of arguments with this. With basketball, there's no one in your way. It's only yourself. Like, yeah, maybe the crowd's cheering and everything, but you're looking at a hoop, a shot that you made 1,000,000 times. Obviously, there's pressure there, but like I feel like when you put a goalie in front of you, that can kind of add to it because now you have like another factor in your face. But I think with soccer, the net's so big. Like, yeah, I see the goalie and maybe he's trying to play games psychologically with me, but I see a big net where I can kick anywhere, man, and I'm going to score. So I think maybe I would embrace soccer as maybe the easiest one that I would want to do.
Well, it is the easiest to do. Just
you got to do it. I know.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, the easier it becomes more scrutinized if you don't do it. So a couple ways to look at it. You're right. It is the easiest to pull off. I actually think like I could do it if I hit the right spot and they guess wrong. I mean, you got to give me like a few kicks of practice. But,
yeah.
But like you, that's one thing that you think you can get up there and do. Now, I also think I could hit a free throw, but I don't know if I could hit a free throw in front of 20,000 people at the end of a game with it dead silent and you're down by 1 or tied or whatever it is. I'd rather be tied. That'd be a little easier.
See, I think that.
And
was
I know
the
I
hardest.
can't skate, so I can't even think about it.
Yeah, so I think that the free throw would be the hardest.
I think so too. Well, I say that but then you bring up a very good point. There is no defender of the free throw.
That's what I'm saying. That's even more pressure, I feel like.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the flip side. Are you going hardest to do, like you said in soccer, right? Maybe more pressure because it's easy, but it's the easiest one to pull off.
But yeah.
Free throw is definitely easier to pull off than a goal against a goalie, right? One-on-one.
But here's how I look at it. I'll look at it being, okay, I got to beat this person in front of me. Like this goalie is trying to stop this soccer ball from going in the net. I got to put it in a spot where he can't. Or this goaltender is trying to stop the puck from going to the net. I have to beat them. I look at the rim, and it's like, okay, I just got to make this. That's all I got to do. So I've done it a million times, Austin. You know how to do it. I know how to shoot a basketball. Like, I just feel like the mental gymnastics occur a lot more in a free throw shot than they would in a soccer match or in a hockey game.
I think that's probably true. I mean, I will tell you this though: that goaltender in hockey looks like that net looks so small. Mm-hmm. That goal looks so small. And the other thing about that, to echo your point on the free throw, the thing about the free throw that made it so impressive with the Alabama player the other night was it looked like it was like in the middle of a game. You just said the same thing about that shot from the Wisconsin-Ohio State game, but it was like it didn't look like it was tense to her. I mean, it was 3, by the way, swishes, like nothing but net. And I think one of them, her second one, she kind of like leaned a little bit like, oh, did I get that off? But if you've ever taken really any shot under pressure of anything, you kind of like tense up. You can't have that happen like on the free throw. Everything's got to be relaxed and you got to be in the right state of mind and everything else. So I think it is really hard. I give them a lot of credit for hitting free throws down the stretch. I think we take it for granted, maybe because the NBA guys do it a little bit more. We also see plenty of missed free throws, but the kids that actually in the tournament that are knocking down free throws to tie games or extend games, I don't think we hammer them when they miss that much anymore because we know it's possible, but I don't think we also give them enough credit when they make them. Because I think there's a lot on those guys. There are other things in sports, by the way. I'm sure, like if you're playing in a major golf tournament and you've got a 6-foot putt, that ain't easy. 3-2 bases loaded in the 9th inning or a tie game or something like that for a pitcher. They have to throw a strike when you know you have to throw a strike and you have no margin for error. Pretty tricky. Always impressed with that, by the way. And then it's like 3-2 foul ball, 3-2 foul ball, 3-2 foul ball. Able to get it done. I mean, it's pretty cool when you deliver in those spots. I guess the other thing would be a kicker. Like we didn't bring it up, but a kicker, and now extra point. Maybe even more so than a field goal, but like under anything 40 yards or under, it's such a given. Yeah, it's such a given that you should make it, but you still got to be locked in to be able to do it. Like I don't know if we applaud the routine pressure moment as much as we should in sports, is my point. Because we sure as hell kill them when they miss it.
No, without a doubt.
But we're just like, okay, yeah, they're supposed to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good call.
At a lot of levels, too. I'm not talking at just the professional level. I'm not sure you're supposed to do anything in sports.
Okay, so you got a thought on this, man? Like, if you were to pick one that you wouldn't want, like, what's the hardest one to accomplish, and what's the easiest one, would you say?
I think you're underestimating the soccer one.
Yeah?
Because, like, why did this come up? Who was shooting free throws?
No, it came up because of the girl playing hockey for Wisconsin won on a penalty shot or took her team to win.
The reason I think you underestimate soccer is the only humans that care about the hockey one are the Wisconsin fans and her family. When you line up to take a penalty in soccer, more times than not in a stressful moment, you're talking about a country that cares.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And, yeah, so I think soccer is one of the tougher ones. Because also, like, it seems like it's easy, but if you're talking about just everyday people, like, yeah, you could go make a free throw. There's no doubt in my mind if you lined up to try to make it on, like, the Armada's goalie, you would not make it. Putting it exactly where you need to put it.
Yeah.
So I think the soccer one's
I mean, to be fair, yeah, I think the stakes are definitely the high. I mean, dude, we're talking about countries like that. Yeah. You know, I mean, they've stopped war for soccer matches sometimes, right? Like, we can't even comprehend that here in the States. So, yeah, I would say in terms of, yeah, I guess we talk about pressure. I mean, pressure of a country is probably the biggest pressure you could ever feel. So it's a good point.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line there. But speaking of Casey getting in here, Casey, give us an update. What's where are we going? Where are we getting these days on the autograph circuit? The Gators, are they hot?
They're hot. They're very hot. I don't know if you've seen them play basketball, but they're pretty good at it. People think they're going to win.
But that's going to be a good memorabilia piece. I think you were telling me this the other day. Do I have this right? Like when you get the NCAA guys, or or maybe even this is for the pros too. You get you get the whole team, like whether it's a baseball or a basketball.
Yeah,
or a football.
You do teamers for college stuff, not as much professional stuff because they're all stuck up and there's no way you can get teamers done anymore.
You can't get them all.
It's just impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I do teamers for college basketball, And baseball, not so much football.
What's like? I used to always ask Martin Buckley this. I feel like when we had Palm Beach Autographs on, like, what's the hottest thing right now? Is there something that is baseball season on the horizon?
Yeah, baseball stuff's good right now. I mean, the guys that are making major league rosters, like Christian Campbell stuff, is hot for the Red Sox because he just made their team. If they announce Roman Anthony makes the team, like I'll have a couple sales, I'm sure, because I have all my stuff up. So yeah, those kind of guys that are making the team are exciting.
Who is like the hottest name in sports right now?
Still Ohtani, probably.
Yeah. Oh, you think so?
As we sit here right now, yeah.
Yeah, more than like where's LeBron?
I mean, it's such a subjective
category.
thing. Like, what do you mean hot? Like everyone's talking about him. Like,
yeah, I guess
define what you're saying. You know, like.
I mean, I think we go in waves,
Commercial
right?
appeal?
Like, listen, like Caitlin Clark last year was like felt like bigger than anything.
Yeah, she should have been probably Sportsman of the Year for
Right.
Sports Illustrated.
So it felt like, now again, there's categories to this, but it felt like she was bigger than, like she was everywhere. You could see her everywhere, and even that isn't the case. Now they've sold out arenas; they're going to be on prime time. Like she's still huge.
Yes,
and like that's why LeBron might not be the answer here. Like LeBron has been big for 20 years, but he might not be as big in March of 2025.
If you're talking, yeah, as we sit here right now, I would say Luka is more in conversation than
Correct.
LeBron.
Oh yeah, good point. So
Correct.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, every media outlet that follows basketball, like he's always the headlining story. Did you see what Luka did?
Yeah, I think I saw. I'll give you this context. I think I saw McAfee has like LeBron today. They must have recorded something, and so that was like a big get for him because I mean they get a lot of guys, right? But they must have been trying to get him for a long time, and
Well,
they
that's
got.
also more so a shot at Stephen A.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that what the whole thing was?
I mean,
Just to get him?
Yeah, I mean, if you go deeper into the thing, Stephen A. doesn't like McAfee. They beef.
Yeah.
Stephen A. just had beef with LeBron over Bronny. And
I get
LeBron,
it.
who never does interviews with anybody other than his circle, is on McAfee live in person.
I see.
After Stephen A.'s show.
I see. Okay. Okay. I didn't dive into it that much. I just thought he was getting another big interview because McAfee's gets a lot of big
McAfee's the king of interviews,
right?
But you think about it, people don't get LeBron.
No, they don't. You're right. You're right. But that was a big get. But so take LeBron out for that purpose, I guess. Now that you give us some context, like who's the interview if you could get
any athlete?
Like right now, like who are those? Who's McAfee want? Who's 60
yeah.
Minutes want? Like who's? Because again, Ohtani, you're right, is big. I
It's a
don't feel
different
like he's
question
nearly
because
as.
you don't want that interview.
Yeah, you don't need Ohtani.
As we sit here at this moment, I'd say like Paul Skeens is in that conversation. If you're talking about baseball people,
Okay.
Unfortunately, nobody really cares about hockey, but you would go at like a Connor McDavid there because they're wrapping up their season.
Yeah, maybe Alex Ovechkin just because he's getting ready to break the record.
Ovechkin's a good one. Ovechkin is a good one.
And he's been doing it forever, it seems like.
That's just off people's radar.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is
Yeah.
about to, score more goals than anybody.
He's about to be the greatest goal scorer of all time, and I feel like nobody cares.
It's wild because like I don't feel this way like there's anybody in golf right now, women's or men's. I don't feel like there's.
Bring back Tiger, man. He's dating Donald Trump Jr.'s whatever.
Well, Tiger will always be Tiger, but I don't think there's a tennis player right now that's like
I mean, people always want to talk to Djokovic.
gravitating to but everybody's talking about right now. You just mentioned some in baseball. I get in basketball that you're going to have them. In football right now, it just feels a little quiet right now in football. Hockey is hockey, honestly. Like
I mean,
if
Travis Kelce.
So Kelsey would still be big get.
Yes,
that's probably
Kelsey
the one.
Swift.
Yes.
I mean, if the big get is talking about ratings, talking about interactions, all this stuff, then it's Travis Kelce and everybody else. Like he's above and beyond.
Yeah, but we usually go in these kind of cycles. Listen, there are a bunch of people you could get that would probably, from an influence standpoint, influence your numbers, right? And people would watch. I get that.
Jake Paul,
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. Sorry, yeah. Paul.
Which one's bigger? Logan Paul's bigger right now?
I like Logan Paul.
Oh,
I don't care about Jake.
Actually, to echo Casey, I respect Logan Paul.
Yeah, no, he's a big fan.
Jake Paul's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's again, usually every whatever you can feel like, man, everybody's talking about this. I don't really feel like that's going on right now. I don't feel like we have somebody that everybody's
actually
catching onto in the sports realm.
An interesting one, sports depending on how you feel about what I say, but John Cena would be one of those.
I almost
right
thought
now.
about. I actually was going to ask you guys that about
one.
the wrestling. So Cena would be.
Yes.
I mean, Cena coming off that weekend a couple weekends ago. You're right. Everybody was talking about that.
Yeah.
And I even go on your Twitter timeline. There's not stuff that everybody's talking about on a given night that's like, bam, it's in your face all the time. I'm not telling you it's a bad thing either. It's just pretty surprising when we see a little lull in the action.
Yeah.
And I think I actually thought about the same thing with Cena too. And I'm not see, that's the great example. I don't follow wrestling at all. But if I'm feeling like Cena is a big name right now, he's been a big name for a long time, but he's a big name right now, then I can feel that. And that's kind of the context of the question I'm asking.
No, I think Casey hit on that. I think if anybody right now, any athlete, I think John Cena may be number one just from the polarizing standpoint. And we'll obviously, we can talk about it later on the Scrap House tonight, Brent.
Yes, you can.
That's going to be featured on the network here. What time is that, Casey? 7 o'clock? Going to 8?
7 o'clock, yes.
That's what they say, 7 o'clock.
ActionSportsJacks.com.
Check your local listing. That's what I thought it was, 7 o'clock. But John Cena, Brent, if you haven't been following along, he is trying to ruin wrestling. And once again, I'm sure this is all part of the plan and the script and everything, but he's doing something that wrestlers rarely do. He's breaking the fourth wall. So and by saying that, I mean he's kind of showing you the ins and outs of what wrestling really is, and he's trying to destroy it. And the last time we really saw that was CM Punk, and this was years ago when he dropped his pipe bomb. And in doing that, that was kind of his exit out of WWE.
Yeah, Punk. They didn't want Punk to do it.
They didn't want Punk to do it,
But
Punk did
they're
anyway.
co-signing this one.
And Punk became a legend because of it. Punk is CM Punk now today because of breaking the fourth wall, speaking his mind, and going against the authority. John Cena isn't really going against the authority. He's literally going against every single wrestling fan that ever rocked his T-shirt. Every single kid that ever said, "You can't see me." He's taken everybody out. And it's fun to watch.
That'll be a big topic tonight.
Huge topic.
Big topic.
Brent, I was have to reserve my therapist for 2 hours just to talk about John Cena and what he's doing to me.
He was conflicted last week.
I
You
was
seen it.
Casey. Imagine how I'm feeling now.
That's true.
Where it's we'll talk about it later. But last week on the Scrap House, I was sitting on the chair for a while thinking I feel like I let John Cena down a little bit. It's wrestling. I'm supposed to boo you, but you made me feel bad about myself. So that whole last week, I felt bad about myself. This whole week, I felt bad for being a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Cena.
He's really shocking the world.
He's he's messing with you.
Oh, Brent,
messing with your emotions.
It's amazing. He's doing grade A work. Now, if people can follow along on that roster and get some more matches elevated, that would be great. But am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Tiffany Stratton. But as far as I'm concerned with John Cena, he's doing a great job.
Well, the interesting thing is, I came in here today. I was like, "Are you guys getting Hulk Hogan, or because he's in town?"
We're all good.
Right?
Huh?
I told you to not do this, and here we go.
Oh,
I gotta mention it.
No, that's cool.
But this is how much little I know about it. But he's not that. He's more polar. Well, not polarizing.
He's polarizing.
Maybe polarizing. Polarizing means you have both sides. Really, it doesn't feel like. It's not like the big name in wrestling right now, right? It's not like, hey, come into our arena.
No. He's izing. He's not polarizing, but he's izing on one side.
It's like, where you go with this?
He's izing.
You wouldn't put him on your poster if he was coming to your arena.
No.
Yeah, and that's it. That's I didn't know that, but that's pretty interesting. And for a lot of off the.
Oh yeah, I mean it's got nothing to do with wrestling. Well,
right?
No, nothing to do with wrestling. But
he's pimping beer today, right?
I think he's got beer now and everything. But just for some of the comments from the past, that people have receipts and everything that are still holding them accountable.
The wrestling fan doesn't like it.
No, without a doubt. I mean,
and he's lost his luster because of that.
They tried to bring him out. I told you this for Netflix. The very first Raw on Netflix, he came out and was trying to tout Netflix to a crowd of 20,000 boos and just get off the stage, things like that.
I mean, this guy was huge, obviously, in that wrestling landscape. And again, polarizing is a good thing in wrestling. You kind of want the people that like it, don't like it, all those things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another sports star, and these are probably easy, but nothing just comes straight to my mind because I'm thinking of this in the moment.
Conor McGregor.
That lost a luster like that. Are people really down on McGregor right now?
Oh, I thought you were saying polarizing.
No, I mean,
I'm talking about you were You guys surprised me today when you say the name Hulk Hogan. I don't pay attention to it, so I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of a big deal. He's in town. Like, you guys going to get him for the wrestling show? And you're like, no, kind of like untouchable right now, right? Like McGregor's not that, right?
No, but
I think
he might be getting there.
McGregor has definitely lost some of his aura and his luster, I think.
But he's still like interesting, right? You're waiting to see what he does next.
True, I guess. But I think, to be fair, I think some MMA fans are kind of getting tired of the whole shtick.
Yeah, right? Because they haven't seen him in a cage either.
Well, they haven't seen him win in a cage in forever.
Yeah.
Right? I can remember the last time Conor McGregor won. Like, eventually, it's good to hype up fights and everything, but if you aren't winning them, people tend to forget.
Yeah.
Honestly, how do you feel
Anybody
about
else?
Well, and this is maybe just be my own personal, I don't want to say beef, but just my own personal experience. You think Tom Brady? Because here's my issue with Tom Brady. The GOAT.
Yeah.
Right? Of the quarterback position. The GOAT. But then you do your color commentary, and I'll be honest, I thought he was going to come out like Tony Romo and just like blow the doors off of the whole landscape of a big color commentator.
I don't know if I had that expectation, but I get you.
Well, I just figured, like, dude, if you know football, like, you win how many Super Bowls, like, you should be able to call out plays and everything and do all this stuff. And he hasn't really done that. He hasn't really taken that Tony Romo approach. So, and listen, like, I think he's an okay commentator, but I just think he set the bar so high as a player that he hasn't reached that as a commentator.
And I don't think he ever will, quite frankly, but I get what you're saying there. I just don't think there's enough, like, I mean, the way you guys are describing, like, Hogan, that he doesn't even come close.
Well,
like,
yeah.
I mean, like, this is so... And by the way,
this is a special circumstance.
But a lot of this stuff is politically challenged too. Like, but it doesn't have to be right now. Like, here's the deal: Pete Rose, like, bet on baseball. He was. Some people probably didn't like him the way he went about everything, but you still had the people that love Pete Rose all the time and would back him and support him and say he needs to be in the Hall of Fame or something like that. I'm not talking about the most likable guy. I'm talking about like a guy that was a monster of a man in that realm, and now is, like you said, you wouldn't even put Hulk Hogan on a poster. Like, if you say that to a lot of people that don't follow, they'll be like, that's what I'm saying. If you say that to a lot of people, they're like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I would say, you know what I'd liken it to in my mind, and you guys might just laugh at this one. I think of this like if you were to say, hey, X is coming to the arena and we're going to do a show and blah, 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 and people are going to go crazy or not. Like, at one point you would say Britney Spears you could do that with, and right now I would be like, oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Stay away.
No, for sure.
Like somebody like that, like, has really, like, doesn't feel like people even want to rally around or be associated with in many respects, is kind of the way you guys are describing.
I think
Hulk
the
Hogan.
closest sports one is Kurt Schilling.
Yeah, Schilling's an interest. You know, these guys have all something in common. Well, not like the Britney Spears example,
Yeah,
but they all have some political stuff in common, right? Whatever side that is, or
But Schilling was like real good. I mean, he wasn't Hulk Hogan, but he's really good. Should be a Hall of Famer. And then people didn't like some of the stuff that he said, and now he's irrelevant as irrelevant gets. But he has a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah,
and it's not for like cheating, like, because you could do the steroid guys, you could do McGuire.
Yeah, you could do that. That's a good point.
And you did Pete Rose, but again, people love him. Like Schilling's one where it's like no one's touching Schilling.
Dude, I said this a couple days ago. I think Aaron Rodgers is on this list as well.
Oh, well, Rodgers might be the best example.
Rodgers was like the anti-Brady. Like, okay, well, you like Tom Brady? Well, we like Aaron Rodgers over here. And like, he was kind of like, he played for America's team, quote unquote America's team. But like, I think a lot of people respected Aaron Rodgers. Then all of a sudden, we go down the ayahuasca wormholes. We get a little political. We start going on podcasts. And now I think he's probably the most hated NFL player in the league.
And he almost oversaturates himself too with like the McAfee stuff. Like, now people are like, all right, enough.
Yeah.
Like I've wondered this about Kelsey. Like, are you going to say enough? And some people will and some people don't. So that's fine. But it feels like a lot of people are like, enough on Rodgers. So I'll ask you this question, because I do think that's a good one. That's one that, again, it's okay to be polarizing. Not everybody's going to like you. But still, if he talked, you'd listen. Or if he went to a place, you'd go. Or you'd want to watch. Like, we're talking about a guy, I think now that our organizations are asking, was Minnesota asking, do we want to bring this in? Do we want to bring the circus in? And is it worth the squeeze, right?
Correct.
And I think that's that's an odd question to be asking about one of the great quarterbacks of all time.
No, it's definitely an odd question, but who do we compare him to start the show off? Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's another guy who, and it's not necessarily for anything that he said, it's just more of just kind of like the awkwardness and the demeanor that he carried himself with the past couple of years. But I feel like Russell Wilson was held in very high regard in terms of NFL fandom when he played for the Seahawks. Right, like the Seahawks for a while, and I was spearheaded by the Legion of Boom and Beast Mode and Marshawn Lynch, but you still had a quarterback in Russell Wilson. I feel like they were kind of like the cool team to like, right? Like those Seahawks years almost reminded me of like the bad boys of the Detroit Pistons, or reminded me of like the Fab Five when I was growing up, with Michigan. Just they were kind of the cool team to like, right? Yeah. There's a lot to like about them, and I think Russell Wilson was kind of at the forefront of that. He goes to Denver. He does some Subway commercials. He dates Sierra. He's married to Sierra now. And, like, I don't know where it went wrong. And Casey, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, the guy became a cringe lord, like, almost overnight.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I will say this, though, and I'm going to give you guys, I think, a little bit difference on the Russell Wilson front than, say, the Aaron Rodgers one.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a practice of the way we consume today. Because I feel like all the things you just said about Russell Wilson are pretty much reserved to like social media and Twitter.
Okay.
I don't think when you walk in like grocery store and that kind of thing, people have that thought about Russell Wilson. I do think they might have that thought about Rodgers now because they know because Russell Wilson didn't go to the ayahuasca route and all the other stuff.
But he was also working out 12 hours on the airplane, and his teammates had an issue with that.
He was, but my guess is my mom didn't see that.
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
That's
okay.
my point.
Okay.
Like. I think there's a whole set of the population that did not see that, doesn't even know what we're referencing there. But they do know what we're referencing a little bit more so with Rodgers because I think, and I might be wrong on this front too, but I think it's just been a little bit more in your face. And anybody catches anything when it's politically, from vaccine stuff to anything else. Like, I bet my mom has an opinion in one way or another on, and I don't know what it is, on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, she might not even know any of that. About Russell. And my mom's not, by the way, like the greatest test here. I'm just saying there's a segment of the population that doesn't live on social media and know the airplane video and the kind of that cringy stuff that everybody jumped on with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But I do think everybody kind of knows. I think your example of Rodgers it might not be Hulk Hogan to the way you guys are saying it, but it might be getting close.
But I think someone will always touch Rodgers. And maybe that's just
Is that football?
That might just be football versus wrestling. But, like, even with all the stuff, if Aaron Rodgers called Brent and was like, hey, I want to be on the show, Brent would be like,
oh, yeah.
Exactly.
But I got to be honest with you, man. If somebody had said getting Hulk Hogan on the show today or yesterday, like, I wouldn't have said, I didn't know that reaction.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't pay attention to that world, so I don't know. But I would probably not. I don't think I would have turned it down. Sure. Because I even shared it with you guys. Like, I shared, hey, he's going to be all over these places, right?
And you shared it with crickets because we didn't say anything. They were just like,
well, I know that was it. Well,
we were like,
I get that half the time from Casey anyway. So, like, I didn't know if that was just normal.
I'm just like, Casey, you want to take this? No, okay,
like,
we got it.
It's to the point, and this is saying something. I've got unsigned Funkos at my house. I will drive anywhere, everywhere to get some random bum on a Funko. He's across the street from my house. I'm not going.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally in like 8 different... It doesn't matter where you live in town, you could get him.
He is less than 2 minutes from my house.
And you're a guy that drives 6 hours to go get things.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not going.
It was fascinating to me. That's why it's like really hit me. What else you got?
Another player, too, I was thinking of is Brett Favre.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, I'm super biased.
But here's the thing. Like, there's going to be a whole section of people who vote a certain way that are going to be fine with Favre, aren't they?
No. How do you justify for what he did?
The stealing money.
Yeah, the stealing money thing.
Oh, going back to that.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not.
I'm sure, like, he's now become like an advocate for people like running for office and stuff.
No, take politics out of it. Like, listen, like Brett Favre, and this is me as a kid, like growing up. Yeah, there was a whole pain pill thing, and that was a certain. But I just think like Brett Favre was America's quarterback.
Yeah.
He was the gunslinger. He was. Every kid playing in the backyard wanted to be Brett Favre. I damn sure know I did, and like I had all my Brett Favre jerseys and everything. It wasn't until I feel like, and some of the hate maybe came from how he handled his career towards the end, right? Going to the Jets, then going to the divisional rival in the Vikings. But obviously, it escalated to new degrees when the whole scandal with stealing money and all that.
Yeah, that's That's a pretty good. You know what's interesting to me in this conversation is about a decade ago, we'd be all over like the kids, right? The high school kids, the this, the that. Like, don't tweet that. Don't social media that. Don't Snapchat that. I really feel like that's lessened because kids have learned their lessons, and we've seen people get canceled. You lose scholarships, whatever you do. They know now that it's out there. Now, people still make dumb mistakes, but not as frequently. It doesn't feel like we're reporting on that. So, but it's really almost morphed and turned where maybe it's a Favre or maybe it's a Hogan or maybe it's a Rodgers or others that they're using these platforms to actually be like the whole you don't want to meet your heroes.
No, for sure.
Type of thing, right? Because you saw him, you rooted for him, and then you're like,
kind of a scumbag.
Or they just totally don't agree with your way of thinking or whatever else. Like, I don't get into political stuff, so I don't really care where everybody is in that landscape. But it might be that. It might just be they're doing scumbag stuff, or they might just totally be like over the top about some political way, shape, or form that really rubs you the wrong way. Yeah. But again, it's just like if Larry Bird were to take to social media right now, I'd probably be pretty pissed at what he was saying. Like, I'd be like, oh, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Also a scumbag.
And listen, and this is the thing, right? Like, I can look past politics, right? I know a lot of people can't do that, and that's your prerogative, but I can. The issue is morally, are you a good person or a bad person? And for Brett Favre's circumstance, like, yeah, I looked past the text messages to the reporter that one time. I looked past the pain pill addiction. Like, all I cared was you throwing the football, man. But then I see you, like, are you a good person or a bad person? And maybe you had one lapse of judgment that made you a bad person, and that doesn't define you. But as someone who grew up idolizing you as a child, to see you do that, it's like, man, I'm glad maybe I never met you. Broke my heart, Brent.
Yeah.
Broke my heart, man.
Yeah. I agree. I get that. Hey, one last thing. You brought this up, and I don't want to dismiss it. It's on my list, and we checked off almost anything. Paige Beckers.
Oh, yeah.
So she bought tickets with her NIL money?
Yes. So through her injury and everything that she had, she was rehabbing. She accredited a lot of the fan base that reached out to her, offered her good wishes, thoughts and prayers, all that stuff. She wanted to pay it in full. So she paid for, I think it was 1,200 or 1,500 student section tickets on her to come support her and help her because she couldn't have did it without them.
That's pretty cool.
What a classy gesture that is.
That's
man.
cool.
Yeah.
See, you love that stuff.
Yep.
Love that stuff.
Hear that, Carson Beck in your Lamborghini? I'm just kidding. Am I, though?
Hey, Casey, we like to take something from Tampa each and every day on the show. We know you're a Tampa guy. Is there anything we can have? We already took the Rays. They're coming over. Already took Liam Cohen. Anything else?
Huh?
Anything from Tampa that we should take?
Casey, you've been to Tampa many times. If you could steal one thing from Tampa, what are you stealing? What are you taking from them?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Why do you guys like Tampa so much? It sucks.
Oh, no. We're that's the point. We're kind of like at a civil war with them right now. So we're trying to like make them
they're downtown.
Hey, Gasparilla?
Gasparilla sucks.
I know.
They're downtown.
Pirates, right? They're downtown. That's a good point.
Is that something I can take, or does it have to be?
Yeah, we'll take their downtown.
No, let's take their downtown. Yeah.
Busch Gardens. I didn't know if that was going to be on your list.
Well, could we keep Hulk Hogan's restaurant there, Casey? We're taking that too then, if we say downtown.
Oh, does he have?
Oh, that's Clearwater. Sorry. Yep.
Okay. To really tie this thing all together.
Hey, man, we put bows, Brent. We put bows on the show.
In theory, if we took Tampa's downtown, we would take Ric Flair. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's what he does.
How's Flair?
Oh, Brent.
Is that sketchy?
You'd be surprised, I think.
Really?
If you're surprised with Hulk Hogan, boy, we got a shocker for you with Ric Flair as well.
I can't keep up with all this.
It's all good, man. You're not missing much.
We got a 2 o'clock no gate fee show presented by Nimick Buick GMC, Perfect Rack Billiards, and also Baker's Sports. We're going to go live from the baseball grounds. We're going to do a special 3 o'clock Jumbo Shrimp baseball show. We're going to talk baseball tomorrow on this show, make our predictions with Jason Hamby. 7 o'clock, it's the Scrap House with these guys.
Let's play too, Casey. I'll see you tonight, man.
Have a good one, everyone.
When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnicht, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnicht has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnicht. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnicht. GMC. We are professional grade. Action Sports Jacks is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team.
Is it in the dying moments?
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet